This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast. Welcome, everybody, to the X&C Podcast. This is episode 214, and I am here with an amazing, incredible, and ridiculously handsome co-host, temporary co-host for tonight, Parris of Kind of Funny Games, and I was going to ask him before the show, how many podcasts do you think you've done in your lifetime? Have you counted them? Have you counted them up?
How many? Oh my God. You know, that is a really, really good question. I mean, it's 1,000 plus for sure. Maybe even close to like 1,500, maybe something crazy like that. But yeah, I've done a lot of talking in my day, that's for sure. But thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure when you invite me on.
It's good. I always like seeing you in the chat. It always kind of lights me up. Like, oh, what's Parris got going on tonight? And
well, I'm a notorious troller of the chat, and lately, and I know we'll probably get into some of this later on, but lately, any podcast chat I go into, I just say in all caps, Xbox is dead. You Xbots are not getting my games. Go buy a PlayStation 5. I say it because that's how ridiculous it is. So it's just to lighten the mood because it's hilarious to me. So yeah.
There's been some rough patches for sure, and you and I have done a lot of public complaining about layoffs and stuff, but looking at the Xbox division, you know, when you separate some of the Microsoft nonsense that's been going on, the division's doing really, really well and growing like never before, but I don't think people were ready for that. No one saw that coming.
You know, I go back to, and look a little bit of, you know, self high five, but I go back to when we had Phil Spencer on XCast in 2023. And this was when Redfall came out and the CMA was blocking the Activision deal. All that had happened within like a week period. We didn't even think he was going to come on. He was in a bad mood, as everyone now knows, right? But one of the things that came out of what he said, you know, he talked about it didn't matter if Starfield was 11 out of 10. We lost the most important, you know, generation, which was digital library, all those things he said. But one thing a lot of people miss that he talked about in that was he was saying he could see it. He could see the future roadmap. He could see the games and the things that were coming soon. But Xbox had reached a point where it's not about talking, it's action. You got to show us.
Yeah.
No one's going to believe you unless you show us. And he even pretty much alluded to that during that conversation. And we're there. I think we've been there since the end of 2024. I would say since Stalker 2, Flight Sim, Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Since that point.
Mid-2024-ish, yeah.
Yeah. Xbox has been pretty consistent. I mean, whether you like the game or not, I mean, you look at everything that's come this year, it's been pretty consistent. There wasn't this dry first half of the year for them. They had Avowed, obviously Doom to Dark Ages, things like that came out in the first half of the year. We see what's coming here in the second half of the year. Yeah. Oblivion remake on down the line. I mean, we're about to get Gears of War Reloaded. Grounded 2 is out right now. Obviously, want the monster October that they have coming, which is insane, of Keeper, Ninja Gaiden 4, Outer Worlds 2, and I feel like I'm missing something.
The next Black Ops, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously we'll see what they announce at Gamescom here in a couple weeks, but we're at a point now where, you know, Xbox is doomed, Xbox is dead. Game Pass isn't sustainable. Oh, wait, Game Pass is sustainable. Wow, there is a lot of great value in it. Sure, their hardware is suffering, but I'm sure we'll get into this. I kind of think some of that is on purpose with their hardware, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll talk about that as we go into it.
I actually would. We could go right into that because that's kind of some pastime stuff. But yeah, I'm so glad you set that up because I've been thinking a lot about what are Xbox's major shortfalls in the recent past, and it's them laying off employees across the gaming division where we need more people making games, not fewer, and more staff to support the division of gaming. But their other problem has been their console sales are the only thing. When people are like, Xbox dead, Xbox fail, you and I would agree that their hardware is really not doing very well. And I'm so glad you said some of that is on purpose. I thought, let's just dive into that right now, because I feel like I'm alone when I bring that up. So what's your perception?
Yeah, my perspective on that is it's not easy to buy an Xbox anymore because they're not stock. It's not in stock. Like I was just in Best Buy last week. There's no Xboxes there. So even if I wanted an Xbox right now, an S, and especially the X is like freaking Bigfoot at this point. But it's very hard to find hardware on shelves. I mean, sure, if you really want to go get one, you can order it. Obviously, in Europe, they're really pulling back the marketing, everything. And again, this is just a theory. I know nothing, but we obviously saw the handheld. Again, we talk about things coming this holiday. That's coming this holiday as well, along with Hollow Knight Silksong on Game Pass. Crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts.
But they're setting it up for their next iteration of Xbox, the next generation of Xbox, the windowfication, for lack of a better term.
Your fan theory is that the ROG Ally X handheld could be like get this instead of worrying about a Series X in Europe where the console isn't very viable or accessible.
Yeah. I mean, because, and you've talked about this already. Look, in 2025, no, that Ally X will not play all your Xbox games. And when I say Xbox games, I'm talking any game that you can currently play on the Series X, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see, as we get into 2026 and beyond, there's going to be some kind of emulation / backwards compatibility strategy for Windows. How that plays out, what it looks like, I mean, we'll still see, but I do think more of your legacy games will be playable on Windows moving forward. I think third party will really come down to the publisher, because the licensing is going to play a big factor in all of that. But I think your first party Xbox games, they're going to be playable on Windows. I think this is just a theory. I don't know anything, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me moving forward, because I think as they're pushing their games towards, it's just Windows, whether it's an Xbox console or you build a PC, at its core, it's just a Windows device. It's an open platform. You can play your Steam games, your GOG games, Epic, all of that. Mm-hmm. So why not bring in your back catalog along with that, at least for your first party games anyways?
Yeah, I wonder what Jason Ronald's back compat team is doing, because the last we heard, he said they'd exhausted the legalese, the licensing agreements, and some of the available titles from 360 and Xbox Original, because all of your Xbox One titles come up. I would assume that Jason Ronald's back compat team is not just like, oh, we're not going to be doing that right now, so we're not doing anything. You and I are under the assumption, partially because of like logic and reasonable business ventures forward, that Jason Ronald's back compat team has shifted their focus to a different direction, which would be some sort of emulation, like you said, on Windows that allows you to play games like, let's say you own Dying Light 1 on Xbox. I mean, you can buy it on PC, but I'm sure that Phil Spencer wants you to be able to play that game that you own with your achievements, your progress, and everything coming forward. Because if you're talking to user bases across Europe or Asia or South Asia that may not get into the Xbox console, but they have the upcoming thing, which we'll talk about later in the show, like their plan is to let you play Xbox properly without having to buy a Series X or the next Xbox console, that they would have some sort of solution that lets you play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood or Assassin's Creed. I always try to think of a game that's like multi-platform, but like your Assassin's Creed Ezio collection that you own on Xbox, like Phil Spencer believes you should be able to play that because you bought it, and we're not going to leave those people behind if they didn't or weren't able to get an Xbox.
But that would come down to Ubisoft. Ubisoft would have to allow that due to whatever licensing, right? So I do think, I think moving forward, just, as far as this conversation goes, I think moving forward, as we go into the next generation, clearly everything Xbox first party is going to be Xbox Play Anywhere. It's going to be Windows on the console, the freaking ColecoVision. They're not going to care. Play wherever you want. Third party, they're going to have to negotiate those deals. And obviously, we're starting to see more and more third party games adopt Xbox Play Anywhere, which is good because, again, it's about play wherever you want. We don't care. Buy the game once, play wherever you want. That's great for us as consumers. But one thing I'll bring into the conversation, why I'm really on this theory of the future of Xbox's Windows is a few months back for the Microsoft 50th anniversary, I was on campus. I was at Microsoft and not under NDA, so I can talk about this. I got to sit down with the corporate vice president for Windows and Surface. And the conversation was about what can Microsoft do better for gaming on Windows? What is it? What are they currently doing right? What do I think they could do better? And we got into this whole great conversation we had. And at the time, I didn't know about the handheld or any of these potential future plans. So I was always curious, like, why so much? But I had even said in that conversation, I was like, it really sounds to me like what you're saying is Xbox is Windows and Windows is Xbox. And I kind of got a smile out of that, right? Like, okay. Interesting theory, blah, blah, blah. So then we get to showcase, we see the Play Anywhere initiative, we see the handheld. I'm like, oh, everything's going to Windows. Windows will be the operating system moving forward. Sarah Bond obviously comes out with the video about with the partnership, specifically talking about and being an open platform. So yeah, I'm bringing whatever digital store I want to the next generation of Xbox. And I think, and this is just a theory, but I think when you, again, talking to Jason Ronald, showcase all this and seeing the handheld in action and all the improvements that they're doing with it on the Windows side, I should say, it really seems to me there will be a day, and I'm not saying it's happening next year or anything like that, but I do think there will be a day that I can say, you know what, I'm going to go build a PC with off-the-shelf parts. I'm going to install Windows 12 or whatever it is on it. I'm going to enable game mode. It's an Xbox. I think that date happens. I think you will literally be able to build your own Xbox at a certain point. So when we talk about obviously all the rumors and things that we're already seeing an Asus partnership, you know, there's going to be a Lenovo, an MSI. You're going to see other third-party hardware manufacturers enter the fray, especially for next gen when the console comes out and whatever the next iterations of the handhelds are going to be. And they're all going to be running Windows, because that's the thing, getting hands-on with that handheld, and I'm going to get a chance to see it again at Gamescom. It's Windows. It's the Xbox app on PC right now. It's the same thing. But what they've done is they've customized it, obviously working with Asus. It's like the Steam Deck. Steam Deck is Linux. Steam OS is Linux, right? I never have to go to the desktop on the Steam Deck unless I choose to. That's the goal here with what they're doing.
They need that back.
They're turning the desktop off. It's a resource they're turning, along with other unnecessary resources. They're getting back 2 gigs of memory already. But the point is, you never have to go to the Windows desktop to do anything. And I'd even ask questions about, well, what if I want to install Steam? What if I want to install this third-party thing or whatever? These were things as of June they were still working on and trying to figure out. But the navigation, everything that I saw, not once did I have to go to the desktop. I was able to go to whatever game that was obviously already on the Xbox app. You could see how all that worked. The Xbox button was great as far as hitting that and switching between screens, things like that. So I see the vision of what they're trying to do. It's not, as of June, is it perfect? Of course not. It's still not 100% ready.
Yeah.
But I do think by the time we get to next year, I think that's where now, instead of it just being something that is on the Asus device, anybody with Windows is going to have this stuff, right? And that's where I think they're headed with all of this. Like, it's funny when I rewind the clock all the way back to January. Don't forget, Jason Ronald was at CES. He wasn't at the Asus booth. He was at the Lenovo booth, along with a representative from Valve. And they were talking about all this stuff. So clearly, it's not just this exclusive partnership with Asus that they're doing this. They're going to have other partners. They're going to have other versions of the hardware. But I will say, for this being the opening salvo of hardware, like, let me rewind. It actually makes sense now. They paused / canceled their own handheld for now, because I think they'll take a lot of lessons learned from their partners before they jump in and make a Microsoft handheld that is probably a part of whatever their next gen initiative is going to be. But the point I'm making on all this is holding that handheld with those grips, it made a lot of sense. Like, I have the original Ally, and same. I was able to use that and then the new one back to back playing Gears of War Reloaded. Night and day difference with those grips on it. Like, it's surprisingly comfortable how with those grips on. So it almost felt like an Xbox controller.
I play my ROG Ally like on eggshells. I don't do anything crazy when I'm playing. I don't like jump headfirst into battle like I would if I was on a controller, because of how that form factor feels. It's funny when you say them bringing the games to via Windows 12. I can see how they can get the hardware to give us the games. Like we jumped right into the Lenovo and Asus and maybe even Razer making their own Steam box that you could buy that'll be a PC. And my best way of explaining it is AMD partners with Xbox and makes this APU, this SoC, and they tell the world this is an Xbox. This chip is an actual Xbox. And there's no licensing to skirt around it. I would hope in the future that the Xbox team can say, we built this SoC. If you use this official APU from AMD, you can build your own Steam box, you can build your own handheld, and Xbox wouldn't need to make a native handheld if the next handheld after the Asus ROG Ally X, or if the ROG Ally X gets that software integration, if you have your native console games plus all the PC games, Xbox doesn't have to make a handheld. And with their partnership with Asus, where that's actually, it's got the Xbox guts in it, like that could be your deal. And I've told people, be wary of the ROG Ally X, just know you're not going to be able to play all of your multi-plat or Xbox owned games that aren't currently supported through Play Anywhere, because that could be a big turnoff for people. But I've talked to a couple of software and hardware developers that said, this kind of ties in, Parris, this ties into like the argument, like, can PlayStation block games on an Xbox PC or on the next Xbox console via Steam? And having a content ID of a chip that says it's an Xbox, I think that Xbox can work themselves into a position where they say, this is an Xbox, so all of your console games should work, and you don't have to ask Ubisoft for permission. Earlier when you said Ubisoft is one of those developers that is more in line with Xbox, where they're like, you buy it, you can have it both places. They do that through Ubisoft Connect. If you have the game on Game Pass, or if you have it on Ubisoft Connect, you get the version on console, and achievements are double up and everything. So some of these developers are moving this way, where they feel like people should buy the game once and they just own it and they can play it wherever. It's going to be a slow thing to go, but if Xbox can do this, and cross your fingers because they're slow to implement big changes, that could change the industry more than anybody else has been able to. Just give you your games at full access on the device you absolutely wanted. And I would love to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see it too. I just think that future, again, it's going to be, for lack of a better term, case-by-case basis as far as a publisher go. Yeah. Because, as an example, Take-Two's not going to do that with Grand Theft Auto. They want you to buy it five, 6 times. They're not going to say buy Grand Theft Auto 6 once. And we will. But that's a game that can get away with something like that. Whereas other publishers would probably be like, hey, we can use Play Anywhere or something like that as an incentive for you to go buy our game. Oh, wow, I only got to buy it once. I can play it on the handheld. I can play it on the console, PC, wherever. And I get more access to my game versus being stuck on one variant of hardware, to be able to play it. Now, something you brought up, and you probably, but I kind of want to get the elephant out of the room right now. Mm-hmm. So PlayStation, and as far as blocking their games on whatever potentially could be a future Xbox, right? I've said from day one, they're not going to do it. If digital stores are available on there where they already sell their games. So let's, again, Steam as the example. If I can already buy Spider-Man 2 on Steam, and now I am now able to play any Steam games on whatever this next Xbox is, why would PlayStation go through all the time, money, and effort to chase down machine IDs, trying to block you from playing on one particular piece of hardware because it has an X logo on it when I already own the game? I own it. I bought it. I can play it on other devices. They're not going to go through, number one, they're not going to go through that effort. I've said that from the get-go. Clearly, we're seeing now here in the last few weeks, they're not going to block anything. And I've said it. I've seen some other people say it. The job description thing, take whatever you want from it. People are acting like eyes falling because of that job description. But what it does tell me is clearly PlayStation is a lot more open moving forward to putting some of their games on other platforms. And when it comes to whatever this next Xbox is, especially if it's Windows with an open platform, PlayStation would be smart to go directly to Microsoft and say, hey, let's negotiate a better cut versus what we get on Steam. So now when I turn on to my Xbox, I'm just throwing this out there as an example. I'm not saying I see God of War Ragnarok staring me in the face, or I see The Last of Us staring me in the face on the Xbox/Windows store. I buy it from there. Sony technically makes more money buying it from that store than if I just bought it off of Steam and I go play it on the Xbox anyway. Right?
If they cut a deal with them, right? Yeah.
Right. If they cut a deal. But that's what I'm saying. So this is where when you start looking ahead, you look to the future of, I said the future. Yes, you can go ahead and screen cap that. But when you look ahead, it's business, man. It's business. It's about making money. I mean, it really is. Like, I will say, to my own admission, when all these rumors first started, a year and a half ago, however long ago, about multi-platform, I was a little bit of denial. I'm like, sure, they might do some of the smaller games, because I remember people got mad when I was saying Rush. Like, who cares? Who cares? Hi-Fi Rush goes to PlayStation or Switch. I'm like, sure. But they're not going to do Halo. They're not going to do the flagship games, Halo or Gears or whatever. And here we are now. Gears is literally about to launch I've already put it on the PlayStation. You know what I mean? So it's weird. But guess what? I'm already used to it, and who cares? And that's where I kind of think, even with this PlayStation stuff, people are freaking out right now. But ultimately, when Helldivers 2 comes out, and when the first single-player game does come out, the sky will fall again. And then a couple weeks later, everybody will be used to it, and they'll be fine. So it's just the future of where we are. I do remember Phil Spencer said this a few years back, and people said he was crazy. I kind of agreed with him, and people said I was crazy because I said the business is changing. Clearly it is. So sure, Microsoft is the third place, or however you want to define them, and they're not the. But it's very interesting to see them being aggressive for various reasons and pivoting their strategy. You now are starting to see other people do the same thing. Not as aggressive, but they're clearly doing the same thing.
Yeah, everyone always has to measure who's doing it first or who's doing this the most. Where, Xbox went to PC in 2016, PlayStation went in 2020, which when we rewind back and look, it's like, oh, Xbox was so far behind in 2016 when they went to PC, day and date on PC, and PlayStation still hasn't done that. But if you think of their market position so far ahead of Xbox when it comes to hardware, that 4 years later they put most of their big games on PC, it kind of makes you scratch your head. And a lot of people are, they're measuring, testing the water, saying, oh, it doesn't count. These are games as a service titles. And I couldn't help but ask this question. If games as a service and Xbox's first-party titles are on the top 10 most played and most sold on PlayStation, what does that mean when PlayStation guys are like, oh, they're not going to put single-player games on there? PlayStation single-player games do really well when they launch, but they're 1 or 2 times a year. So my question is, if games as a service and Xbox are bunching up the top played and top sold on the PlayStation console, what is PlayStation thinking right now when they're trying to go more multi-platform, or they're hiring for position? Like, how fast do you think they're going to move into this change of what was traditionally a PlayStation move?
Here's how I look at it. Again, trying to just look at this logically. Forza Horizon 5 and Sea of Thieves, but Forza Horizon 5 is a great example of what the strategy kind of looks like, I think. Forza Horizon 5 came out in 2021. Let's not forget, this is not a new game. It's an old game. And you had 3 million people buy it on a PlayStation 5 in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So what that says is, here's a game that has pretty much run its course on the Xbox console, and even to some extent on PC as well. You've now introduced it to a new audience that was never buying an Xbox, or they would have already bought one to play Forza Horizon 5. They were never buying a PC, or they would have already built a PC to play Forza Horizon 5. They're like, I bought my PS5. That's where I play my games. That's where the ecosystem I'm in. You put a game in there that looks cool, I'll buy it. If you don't, then I'm not playing it. Microsoft has now introduced games into the ecosystem to that audience, and you're seeing the result. So flip it to the other side, and we're about to find out here with Helldivers 2. Mm-hmm. Single player games like, I'm just as an example, Spider-Man 2, God of War, Last of Us, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. These are games that have essentially run their course on PlayStation from a single player standpoint. They're now on PC. The results may vary. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You now introduce it to an audience on Xbox. You got Xbox guy, and I see about 3 or 4 in the chat right now that was never buying a PlayStation. They were never building a PC. So again, give me Spider-Man 2 on Xbox. Oh, I'm going to go buy it and I'm going to go play it. It's where we are. And like I said, again, Phil Spencer laid all this out already. And we didn't want to listen to him when he said it. But he was right. The multi-platform thing is weird. I'm still not 100% on board with it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But there's still that little bit of, well, no, this is how we've always done it. Why are you changing things? But what we're finding out is it's not going to hurt people that are dedicated to a particular ecosystem. Again, this goes back to what Phil said about Starfield. Doesn't matter if it's 11 out of 10. You aren't getting people to move off of their digital libraries. And that's what we're seeing. People that are already invested into their digital library on PlayStation aren't going anywhere. People that are already invested into their digital library on Xbox or Nintendo, just as another example, they're not going anywhere. So why keep trying to force people? Why keep trying to reinvent the wheel and force people to come to my hardware? Just bring the games to them. You make more money on the software anyways. It's not about the hardware. So that's what Microsoft has done. And we've already seen in a short period of time that plan is working. So we even said when he said it's just 4 games, we obviously knew, hey, if it works, they're going to do more. Clearly it worked because we now expect everything to be multi-platform. I'm honestly surprised when I see something that doesn't go to
like
PlayStation.
About or South of Midnight, right? Are not on there.
But the one I was thinking of is Keeper in October from Double Fine. From Double Fine. No, go back and look at the branding. It's only on Xbox.
I just assumed it would be at this point.
But this is exactly what I'm saying. I assumed too, and then I went back and I was watching. I was like, oh wait, it's only on Xbox. It's not on PlayStation or on Switch. Which Double Fine's a smaller studio. It makes sense that focus on the Xbox first, and then you can port it to another platform later. Same thing with Compulsion with South of Midnight, which may never come to a PlayStation. But for Compulsion, it made sense. Focus on the Xbox, and then you can bring it somewhere else, down the road. We're obviously seeing with Starfield now with the rumors, it's going to be on PlayStation, but Bethesda didn't obviously back then they were still doing exclusives, but they didn't rush to get it on PS5. So I think that's what we're going to see moving forward. Sure, you're going to see a lot of day and date stuff. Like I expect a Fable to be day and date, but you might see other games that aren't necessarily day and date on other platforms. And obviously the reverse would be for PlayStation, because I honestly don't expect any PlayStation single player games to ever be day and date on Xbox.
Nope.
I just think after a period of time, we're entering the era of time exclusivity is what I'm really trying to say. You'll have a limited period of time where it is exclusive to a platform. And then when it runs its course on that platform, they're going to put it somewhere else and see if they can make more revenue.
So if you were PlayStation, what game would you be looking at? First party studio, single player game.
Spider-Man.
That'd be your number one, huh?
When the Helldivers 2 thing first went down, Danny and I were talking about it. And that was the first thing, that came to my mind. It is the most popular IP that goes beyond video games, right? It's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So imagine that showing up somewhere else. And I'm talking 2018 Spider-Man. It doesn't have to be Miles Morales or the new one.
No,
you put that on more. You put that on more platforms. People will go buy it because again, you have people that have never played Spider-Man that now would have an opportunity to do so. They're picking it up day one.
I have a question for you. I brought this up last week briefly on the channel, on this podcast. If Spider-Man 2018 came to Xbox, which one would end up selling more copies on Xbox console? Spider-Man 2018 or Forza Horizon 5?
Probably 5. I would still say Forza Horizon 5 because it is a 7-year-old game. And I do think there is an audience on all these platforms where there's FOMO and they're gonna go, I want to go play it. So you, excuse me, you do have Xbox players that have already played it, but there is a percentage out there that have not. So I would think ultimately,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I might buy it again, but I could always buy it again on PC, and I still haven't because I played the wheels off of 2018. I never played the remaster, but yeah, it's interesting. We got Knight with
Well, see, that's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but see, like that's the interesting thing about this future Xbox being open platform. A lot of games that I've only played on Steam or something that, if it came to maybe I'd get it again just to play it on Xbox. No, I wouldn't do that. No, it's on Steam. I don't have to. You know what I mean? Because at that point, yeah, go ahead.
We have to ask the question, if PlayStation knows that the next Xbox is going to have access to the 50 plus games that they have on Steam, and then they know they're going to put those games on PC 15 to 18 months later, like you said it as well earlier, why not just head it off the pass? Like, why should we wait and let them buy it on Steam and only get the 70%? Let's tell Xbox, we'll give you 10% back. You give us 90%. Yeah. You take a small cut. You guys are a smaller platform. It's more work for us to put on Xbox, and you need the extra games because these are games your fans will never get. But if they can get them on PC, PlayStation could take advantage of this. I think one of the problems is that we end up getting a lot of conversations with diehard fanboys or fans that really like one platform over the other, and most of their reactions come from their personal bias instead of, what does this mean for me as a consumer? I said this a lot last week. No one ever thinks, what is good for the brand of PlayStation and what is good for me as a paying customer? And sometimes they act like what's best for me is that my console is special and no one else can buy my games. And then there are a handful of franchises on PlayStation or Xbox that live and die by the sword of being limited to the audience that gets to play them. So, I don't know.
And that's the thing that we have to look at the big picture. The people that we see on social media, the loudest voices are usually the smallest audience, right? So when you see these diehards that it can only be on my favorite box and no one else's, they don't represent the overall gaming community. Most people, and I always just say my neighbor as an example, he plays Madden, he plays Call of Duty, and he plays NBA. He doesn't care. My kids, and I'm sure your kids are the same, I mean, they're playing Fortnite and Roblox and Overwatch, and like my oldest daughter now, she's obsessed with Marvel Rivals. That's the things that they're playing. They don't care where they're playing it. They just care that they can play it. If that makes sense, right? It's not about, well, it has to be on Xbox or it has to be on PlayStation. It's whatever convenient at the time. So, I think that's where, we're old. And
we're
that's
old.
What
we grew up when you couldn't put that cartridge in your neighbor's console. It never worked that way. And franchises, you didn't get Altered Beast on Nintendo. At least I don't think you did.
No.
But yeah.
No.
I remember a time, Parris, when my neighbor had a Sega Genesis, or what was Sega Master System? What was it called? The
Master
very first
System.
Sega. Yeah, the Master System. And I'm like, what is this? Because all I knew was the Intellivision and then the Nintendo and the Commodore 64, but I'd never seen a Sega system before. And I'm like, what? Kind of like, I remember it's almost funny. It's like, what is this? What games are on it? Are they different? What? I had no concept of it. There was no console war for me back in the mid to late 80s. I had no idea. I was just playing my Nintendo games and playing Double Dribble.
Yeah, yeah, Double Dribble. Well, see, and that was the thing. I was talking about, when we're growing up in the 80s and all that, it was, okay, I might have the Nintendo, but then my buddy, to your point, has a ColecoVision, or this one has a Commodore 64, or this one has a Sega Master System. And we would go to each other's houses and go play whatever games were on those systems. It was never about, well, mine's better than yours. It was about, no, I can only go play this game on this, was one on ColecoVision. Like the good version of Donkey Kong was only on the ColecoVision because the Atari one was terrible.
Oh, and the Pac-Man on Atari was awful.
Yeah. So you had to go to your one friend's house to go play the good version of Zaxxon or Donkey Kong or whatever it was back then.
Because they had more teraflops in 1984. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember we had a friend that had, remember the app? It was like a variant of the Commodore 64. It was like the PC version. It was something like it, but it was called the Atom. Commodore 64 Atom, I believe.
Yeah, I've never been on one, but yeah.
It had Buck Rogers. And it was the only place you could play Buck Rogers. And we would always go to his house to play Buck Rogers. See, it's like, that's the stuff I remember. And then obviously when the NES came out, to change things with Mario, because a lot of people just started getting the NES. But then you had the Sega, like you said, the Master System, and then the Genesis, and the Altered Beasts of the world, or Sonic, or whatever, right? So, that's how it used to be. And then I think what happened was the internet. And the internet changed everything. And that's when all the console wars happened. And Peter Moore, and he admitted in those early days, they encouraged the console war. Because it was fun back then. It was the Wild Wild West. It was this unknown. Yeah, but now gaming is such a lucrative business, and these games cost so much to make now, and they take so long to make, the AAA ones. They can't afford to do this stuff anymore. It's just about get these games to as many people as we can, because we gotta make revenue.
I think when you're looking at sales reports coming in, and you're looking at your quarterly reviews, which we might talk about briefly here on the show with Xbox's report, but when you're looking at that month to month, where 10 months out of the year, your top 20 games are dominated by everyone else's games. The sports titles, the first person shooters, the Roblox and Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto 5, and you covered that really well. Those the bean counters are like, no, it's not the next, infamous game or the next Halo game that we have to worry about. We need to be thinking month to month, what is going to keep us making a ton of money. And PlayStation and Xbox make a ton of money selling other people's games. So that business on either side, without exclusivity even factored in, they're making bankroll off of the hottest games that are being played online. There's people, there are people that play that one game and you can't get them off of that. There's people that don't even consider themselves gamers. All they do is play COD, or all they play is Madden. And they're like, hey, are you like video games? No, my mates and I, we might play something after we get home from the bar or whatever, but they don't think of themselves the same way, and the money is spent differently. The arguments start to look really ridiculous on the outside after a while.
Oh, no, 100%.
Well, let me read a couple supers. Knights with a SAR 10. Thank you so much. The super says, full slate, Colt, be ready for the meltdown. I don't think there's going to be a full slate, but
no.
Parris and I, once in a while, well, me way more than Parris just on very rare occasions when the moon is just right, will we get a little messy and have a little fun with, how fans react to things. If PlayStation announces something like Returnal, or maybe even Days Gone, because today Ben Studios put up a emoji with a monocle, and I don't know, they could be doing some marketing push or something new, but a lot of people are like, what's that next PlayStation single player game that's old and dusty and gets announced for Xbox? And Jez Corden of Windows Central on the Xbox 2 podcast said, confirmed, Days Gone's coming to Xbox. Total tongue-in-cheek, and the community note him, as they will. But yeah, when that one all that rambling just to say, when that single player first party game comes down, and Meg and I have a gentleman's bet, I will have some fun that day, because PlayStation sees the move that Xbox is making. They want to have a little bit of a piece of that pie, but PlayStation gets the luxury of playing both sides. They can continue to grow in the console market, and they can put a few old dusty games on Xbox, and it won't hurt them one bit.
No, it won't. And it's funny you say when that day comes, because when I was on with Gaz, what was that, 2 weekends ago? I told him then, I go, you will be insufferable that day. I will probably not be on the internet that day, because it's going to be just so ridiculous. But like I said, people will freak out. People will have their jokes, laugh, bye, and then it'll just be normal and people won't care anymore. That's what's going to happen. Because to your point, and I was having this conversation with some people, because one of the arguments that I've heard about if PlayStation were to do this, they're not going to sell hardware. And it just goes back to what I was saying before. If I bought a PlayStation 5 now, and that's all I buy this generation, and I'm not ever getting an Xbox or whatever, then guess what I'm going to do the next generation? I'm going to buy a PlayStation 6.
Sure.
So they're not losing those customers. Now, will the console market grow in a way? No. But you've had a lot of people tell you that the console market is not growing, and it has not for a while, which again is why you can't keep doing the exclusivity thing the way that you are if you want to get a true return on investment for these big AAA games. You gotta grow, and obviously all the corporate stuff that comes into it. This is why we see the layoffs and everything. They're constantly being mandated to grow. So if you're not growing in your current console ecosystem, what do you have to do? Find another audience to grow with. So that's why you saw a PC. That's why you're seeing them. This is why Microsoft got Activision to big push into mobile. PlayStation is now talking about mobile as well. And then they're looking internally at console sectors of the console market where they've never had penetration, because their games have not been available to people. And that's happening now too. And again, we're seeing the result. I'll say it again. Forza Horizon 5 selling 3 million copies, 3-month period, or whatever it was, says it all. That a 4-year-old game sold that much. And it wasn't just at $70. You had people pre-ordering the $100 version,
which sold really well on the Xbox and PC before it came to Game Pass. I remember there were nearly 1 million players by the time by the time Game Pass landed, because there was the $100 version, which got you early access plus DLC or something. And the Xbox doesn't report numbers, but it was on the leaderboard because there's that many people playing on a purchased version. So I don't know. Holy smokes. I don't know. Shout out to everybody who's watching the show. Appreciate it. You're watching the XSC podcast. I'm Colteastwood, and over here is Parris, and we are talking about the multi-platform approach with Xbox and PlayStation. We're also going to talk about the upcoming PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox set of consoles. If you thought Xbox hardware was dying, holy smokes, did they totally change the narrative, because not only are they making another console, they're making multiple consoles, if we're going to believe what's about to come out, and choice is going to be the savior of your gaming wallet, or at least how you want to spend your money. We've got a Meat Puppet who says, do you think Xbox will push the integrated storefront dashboard to the Series X before they launch next generation? I would assume the next UI that Parris was talking about that will help you play more games on different devices will barely make it. If it's anything like Series X, and the Xbox One, their dash and UI system was just good enough to launch. I don't think we're seeing that before the next generation starts. What do you think, Parris?
Yeah, I pretty much. And just real quick, because I've seen this a couple times in the chat, saying my voice is cutting out.
It does. I've seen a couple people say half a word here or there, but
really,
I still know what you're saying. I wouldn't. I wouldn't even point it out, because then you sit here and you're like, what do I do? Here, let me try splicing these wires.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if I had some setting, because I never change anything in Discord, so it should be.
Yeah, I don't either. It could be Discord.
It could be out all the time.
It could be AOL, but yeah, we still know what you're talking about. There's a couple times it'll cut out for almost a whole word, but we'll put it up with it. The last, Parris has done a lot of podcasts, and I've done a few hundred. Well, he's probably done several thousand, but the last thing you want to do is worry about little audio things, and we'll enjoy the show. I don't want him to go over there and start pulling levers and stuff, but we've got BT Maverick. Thanks for the 5. Says, this is for Parris. How's the rumble pulse triggers on the Xbox Ally X? I wish the Steam Deck had better haptics, but I love my OLED deck. And he says, #Caw can't cook. Thank you, guys.
He can't. He cannot. You know what? Again, because now the techie in me is coming out. I think the reason is I have my fan on, and I notice I'm looking at the voice meter. I'm looking at the voice meter, and I notice even when I'm not talking, it's kind of still picking up audio.
I'm going to turn my gate down as well, because I have mine up.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm just.
We do the best to give you guys the best experience on camera and mic, and sometimes it means, are we going to sit here and sweat to death? I need a fan on. Yeah.
I'll just pay my electric bill this year, and I just turn the air on. But
that's how old we are. You're letting all the cold air out. Yeah.
Yeah. But to what you were saying before, yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll fully realize whatever this vision is for Windows until the next generation. Now, I think the more interesting question is, does the next generation start next year or is it 2027?
Oh, yeah, that is a really good question, because I believe that the OEM, like if it's Lenovo or MSI or whoever makes these, maybe it's more than three, I don't know. But if there's an OEM console, I don't even know where the leak came from that they believe it's as early as 2026, and then Xbox's first party actual official console will be in 2027 alongside the PS6. That's the best way I can explain it. I don't know how confident we can feel about it. I tend to feel confident enough people have talked about it. I don't even know where it came from at this point. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, what I was going to bring up with that is obviously the Moore's Law is dead, that leak, and I forget, is it Kepler? I believe the other one.
Yeah, Kepler.
That was talking about this. But one thing that Moore's Law talked about that I think actually is the most important, and we're slowly starting to see it now, because Battlefield 6 is dropping the Xbox One and the PS4. And his point is, we'll finally get to the point where we're making games for the Xbox One and the PS4.
I want you to have to repeat.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're coming back. Okay, so you were saying, yeah, I love that. I haven't had that happen in a long time. You were saying it was probably, yeah, if you were cutting out, it was probably my internet was just being kind of weird for a minute. It's been very, very smooth for a long time. You're saying Battlefield 6 is dropping last gen, and then go. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I was saying that, and then, there's rumors, but next year's Call of Duty is going to do the same thing. But Moore's Law's dead point was the true baseline for this generation is still the Xbox One and the PS4 for a lot of games, right? Now we'll get to that next gen. We can finally drop the Xbox One and the PS4, and now the PS5 and the Series X become the baseline for the next gen, because you have to remember, a lot of people won't run out and buy a PS6. They won't run out and buy whatever the next gen Xbox is. They'll stick with their PS5 and the Xbox Series X and the S. So, but now the future games coming out, the baseline is this current generation versus the last one, which has really held a lot of things back.
On the last 2 years of the said generation, we're finally
and I'll just
remember
say
the whole
record,
mess. And remember in 2020, they're like, oh, Xbox said they're going to support the Xbox One generation for the first 1 to 2 years, and everyone was like, their hair was on fire, and they were knocking people's houses over. That, oh my gosh, cross gen, and we believe in generations, and here we are. Yeah.
But I have to say, for the record, this is, and I've been around for all of them, this is the worst gaming generation in history.
What?
It just is. And I say that not so much that there haven't been great games this generation, but look at all the issues. Look at all the hoops. Look at just everything. Okay. This is the first generation where you would have been better off buying a console in 2020.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Games, it was cheaper to buy games for this generation in 2020 than stuff like that. Obviously, all the subscription stuff, just the back and forth, just everything that we've seen over the past 5 years in this generation. It doesn't feel necessarily fun. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. And hopefully they get a lot of lessons learned. And this is the entire thing. But hopefully they get a lot of lessons learned out of this generation, so that when we do go to the next iteration of hardware, next iteration of games, that there's more stability to it. Because right now it's all over the map. You don't know. All that's crazy to me. So as much as I love gaming, I am at my heart, at my core, a cheapskate, and I will always be a cheapskate.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing prices going up. They should be going down. Because you also have to think of this. Part of any console generation was not everyone can afford to buy a console at launch. The whole point was, a few years into the generation, as the prices drop and you had the big Christmas, something like that, it becomes more affordable. All right, I can finally trade in my Xbox One and I can go get it. Now, it's even more expensive. So you're not going to do it. So that's what I'm saying. Hopefully something has to give. And we already know, and I'm not expecting the next generation, at least for Xbox anyways, to be that cheap. So my biggest worry with this generation is it's made the hobby more elitist. It's not for everyone like it used to be. And that's my worry, that it used to be anyone can go pick up a console super cheap, you buy the games used or whatever. Now the consoles cost more, prices aren't going down, they're going up. Who can afford this? I'm lucky enough, yes, I can afford it. But that's not the point. The point is everybody being able to afford it. And that's why I do think this is the worst generation ever. I just do.
I did a video that didn't get as many views as I was hoping, because it was a really good message, but I did this console generation has been a disaster video a few months ago. And you just start off with the chip shortage, you had the people that were price gouging the console and scalping it. And then you had Xbox didn't really have a lot of games at first. And then PlayStation relied heavily on quick sequels and remasters and port versions of games. And then the layoff stuff. And it's just, the price hikes. I was looking this morning because I forgot about this amongst all the nonsense. I got frustrated that the base model Series X is $600 in the US, and the base PS5 is $500 in the US because PlayStation did not hike their prices up in the US. Someone was calling out Ryan McCaffrey because he said in 2 or 3 months that PlayStation is going to hike the price of their console too, and we're getting close to that time, and it hasn't happened yet. And Ryan McCaffrey said I would eat my script, or I would eat my show notes on the air if that didn't happen. And I don't think PlayStation is going to hike the price of their consoles because they're in the profit margin. They can make their money on their consoles either way and push that price hike globally and keep it not in the US. And all that stuff has just made everything so frustrating for everybody across the board. I got to read this. We got the mag. What's that?
No, I was just going to apologize again because I guess I'm still. So I don't know what is causing that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's on your side. The show has dropped for a second twice here, and I don't know. One of the last times I had you on, I couldn't get the audio working for 25 minutes, and that's why I have no hair on the top of my head. I was very frustrated. The Mag show, the Mag, I was going to say this earlier on the show. Mag's not here. He had a pretty serious family emergency on Monday, 20 minutes into the show, and had to leave. And everything is on the mend, and he's writing to us from away from the show, and hopefully we'll see him back here in a few weeks when everything settles in. But all our love and respect to the amazing Mag for just being an incredibly great guy and putting up with all of the nonsense of being next to me on a show. He says, have a great show, gentlemen. I'll be back soon. By the way, is Parris doing a voice dub for a Kung Fu movie? Yeah, okay, Mag. Danny Passion Official says, here's the reason why Sony knows that Steam is coming to the next Xbox. Better port the games themselves. That way they can keep the Steam cut if they can port them. We were talking last week, Parris, how every studio on the planet makes a game for the console and for PC, but for some reason, PlayStation is not expected, their studios are not expected to be able to port games to PC, so they wait for Nixxes to do all the work. What is your thoughts on that? Seems kind of a weird, disparaging part of the market on console.
Well, some people would tell you it's because of quality that they don't do it. But I'd be a little cheeky. I mean, I get it, and it kind of goes back to what we're for about certain Xbox studios don't necessarily port directly to PlayStation day and date either. I mean, time, resources, studio size. Maybe they just would rather let's focus on the PlayStation first and make sure we get that right before we start worrying about putting games on other platforms. And I think that's their internal philosophy. Whereas if you think about it, Microsoft has been doing this since 2016. So they're staffing their studios up to be able to support. Insomniac would probably be one of the first ones with something, having that internal. We no longer need to rely on Nixus to get our PC games out. We just do it ourselves. And then, you'll use Sony Santa Monica on down the road. But I do studios, they'll still have to rely on, a third party to come in and do those ports.
Yeah, it's just weird. They're just like, we don't have to do that. Somebody else does that for us. But I think that PlayStation can still wait on those ports and they'll be doing just fine. But I don't know. I think I just finished Death Stranding 2. You played it in a review and did a review on the game, and I finished it, I don't know, like a month ago or a few weeks ago. And I'm wondering if Kojima is kicking himself right now for taking that bag from PlayStation and not having the ability to put that game on PC as soon as possible and boost up its possible sales, or if he's just fine how it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to the individual studio, and what they're like. Maybe they got so much an upfront incentive with partnering with PlayStation that funded them being able to make the game. I'm sure every story is different when it comes. But then I would say, because since people had a lot to say a year and a half ago when I said that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it was criminal that was not on Xbox. And you would have thought I slapped someone's mom when I said that. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I was right. Because you know how I know I was right? It was because Square just told me I was right, because they're no longer console exclusives anymore. They're putting games everywhere. Because I will say for the 10 millionth time, it's about making money. And Square was not making enough money keeping that game gatekeeped to one device. So you put it in more places. So that's why Square is doing what they're doing. And I think those days are that we'll see that, unless it's a studio where essentially an Xbox or a PlayStation is coming in and just funding the development of the game. So that's, I'm just using that as the example of what may have happened with Death Stranding 2, but we'll never know.
Yeah. Do you believe this idea that Final Fantasy?
I can't help it. I don't know. I have 2 gigabyte internet connection. Yeah. I don't need Walmart.
And I've done the testing things where it shows that my internet is just fine. It's Rocket GTX says it's not your fault. We're all experiencing, so blame the internet provider. Yeah, it's just you never know. I've done this show every single week and I haven't had it cut out in over a year. It's just sometimes it happens. I've been fortunate enough to where I can actually still do the show. I've been on plenty of shows where their internet just dies and they can't bring it back. And I would reboot the router, but it just takes 10 minutes for the router and the modem to spool back up and bring everything back online and resume the show. Yeah, and somebody goes, "That's a slow PC." No, that's not how internet works. But anyway, do you believe that Final Fantasy sold like 100,000 copies on Xbox? I don't know. Some of these reports that Xbox is just completely dead. The other report was that, according to AMD breaking down the hardware they put out this generation, Moore's Law is dead, and Kepler believed that the Xbox Series consoles only sold 30 million units. But we've seen EA and other outlets say that it's been as high as 36 million to 38 million, but they're like going for the lowest of the low on guesstimation for Xbox. I don't know.
Yeah, I when I saw that, I just thought it was a low estimate. I mean, again, we'll never know the numbers unless Microsoft officially tells us. But I'm guessing it's probably mid 30s. Maybe sure, close to 40. Sure. But it goes all the way back to the original conversation. I think a lot of the low sales has to do with the fact that trying to get an Xbox right now isn't easy. They've made it harder to get one. So when there's less incentive. When you make it harder for me to go get one, there's less incentive to go buy one, I guess is the point I'm making.
I don't even know how they're selling them at all, honestly, when Xbox has been telling you don't have to have one. I said it a lot. I don't necessarily subscribe to exclusive sell consoles. They are a reason that people buy consoles. They aren't the reason. The data shows they're not the reason people buy a certain console. People buy a console to play games. And when the majority of their games are not the exclusives, 80 to 90% of the majority, then yeah, I don't subscribe to exclusives are the sole reason or the top reason why consoles sell. Even PlayStation themselves, Hiroki Toki said that they are marketing toward the games more than just the console, but they also have the liberty or the luxury of selling their consoles either way, and they're selling games really great. This brings up the revenue report from Xbox that says Game Pass revenue is up to $5 billion per year. There's a guesstimate on how many, I don't think they reported. Did they report how many subscribers? But I thought you and I would have a great conversation about why Game Pass is dead and it's losing money hand over fist. And we can go from there because this news broke a couple days after we did the show last week. What's your take on the best value in gaming is hemorrhaging money and it's time to shut it down?
No, they didn't give subscriber numbers. It was just how much money they made, which was, what was it? Was it 5 billion? I believe almost 5 billion. So people tried to do the math on, figure it out on what the subscriber count looks like. Well, I mean, let's take it this way, because there was obviously the Chris Drink thing where he then got corrected on, that it wasn't sustainable. It's to the point I don't even remember exactly how, but I know Chris Drink was talking about Game Pass not being sustainable, or they were only counting third-party games or something like that, right? Then he got corrected and was, wait, I was wrong. Okay, fine. But to be fair, that then, because I talked about it, that I'm a fan of Game Pass, best value in gaming. I love it from a consumer standpoint. It is great. My only thing was, if it wasn't sustainable, they just did all these layoffs, they would have got rid of Game Pass. There's no way Game Pass would still be around right now if it wasn't sustainable when they're looking to trim the fat. It would have got cut. It would have been trimmed, 100%. But then the other question that I ask myself is Game Pass just great for Xbox, or is it hurting the industry? I mean, we honestly don't know. Depending on who you ask, you'll have one developer say it's great, you'll have another one say it's, so the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I just have the philosophy of this. I want Game Pass to stay around. I love it. I think it's great. But if it is hurting the industry, then it should go away. But we don't have concrete evidence that it does.
How could it be? We can play devil's advocate because we like to try and be reasonable. Like, what kind of things are harmful to the industry with this model?
Well, the argument is that if you're not a part of Game Pass on the Xbox platform, you're not selling games, which even that doesn't make sense when I've heard repeatedly Game Pass only makes up 20% of Xbox game, like playable Xbox games, right? So clearly there's someone out there still buying games on Xbox. So what does that mean? I can
people playing more games outside of Game Pass than inside, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So, because you obviously hear that narrative all the time.
They're probably buying them.
Yeah, so they got to be buying them then if they're not subscribing. It's just that Game Pass, obviously, I've heard sparks interest in games because, especially like a multiplayer game, now more people are willing to go try it, and you jump in with your friends and you go play it, stuff like that. So I think the argument has been, if I'm not a part of the Game Pass ecosystem and I have to stand outside of it, it could hurt the sales of my game. But we don't have true evidence either way on that, so I don't know. I truly don't know.
I mean, you can look at some games, some quirky or risky, I don't know what the word would be, like a game that like people look at it and like, I don't know if I want to play that, and you'll hear people say, I'll wait till it comes to Game Pass. There must be certain games that are a little bit outside the box or outside the norm where there may be a chunk of fans. But if you're saying that only a certain fraction of people are on Game Pass, so their voice doesn't carry across the entire Xbox console platform, it's just frustrating when you see smaller developers who their game has struggled because they took a Game Pass bag and they were hoping they could make more money and they didn't. I don't know if I would be blaming Game Pass on that. Weird West was a game I played on Game Pass that I really liked. It's an isometric sort of, it's a cool little RPG, and I don't think a lot of people played it, but they got an upfront amount of money, an undisclosed amount of money from Xbox to be included in a Game Pass. And maybe they're like, some of our peers are making a lot more money than we are, but maybe their game is just more successful. I don't know. I don't like to say things like that because I don't make games, and I just want all the best for people that make stuff that I get to enjoy. So I think the numbers really tell the story.
Yeah, and the other part of the argument is, in defensive, is I've been told over and over that Xbox is the right. So
that
there's a
Xbox
smaller percentage of people. See, I hate that this is cutting out. It's killing me.
It's just the one.
Apologies again.
That's okay.
No, but I was saying that Xbox is the third place platform, right?
Oh, right.
That's what we're told. So there's a smaller percentage of people on Xbox than other places. So if I have a game that is on but it's not in Game, but it's also on PlayStation and it's on Steam, and let's say it's on the Switch, well, isn't there still an audience out there to go buy your game outside of Xbox? The majority of people still have access to your game. So I don't know. That's what I mean. It all depends on who you ask and what their current position is as far as the stability of their studio or the success or non-success that they're having. That's going to sway their opinion. That's what it kind of seems like to me, because I don't think we have a real answer either way about Game Pass, other than Microsoft sure seems to be confident in it, because if anything, they've doubled and tripled down on it over the past couple of years as far as making it front and center as a part of all their marketing. Day one on Game Pass, play anywhere. All these things that they keep talking about tells me it's working. That's what I see. Now, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But what my eyes say is it's working because the company has been backing it since 2017, and they've had an out multiple times to get rid of Game Pass. When they've raised the price, when they could have said, well, you know what, we tried this, it's got to go away. But instead, they've not done that. And if anything, I think Mag has even talked about this, it seems like we're going to get additional tiers of Game Pass as they expand more into cloud, because they want to push that more. Obviously, I would imagine there's going to be a mobile side to.
Yeah, there's a rumor there's going to be
up and running,
just a cloud tier for people who just want to play over the internet, which I probably won't mess with too much. But it is frustrating when you think that they have raised the price. So Microsoft obviously thinks Game Pass is not sustainable at this amount that we're making per user, so we need to raise it up a little bit. But also, I think that really attributes to, we just bought Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda, so we need to raise the price because now we've offered more. Me as a consumer, I'm like, no, you sold us on this idea of lots of great games, and for many years you didn't have lots of great games on Game Pass. We had gems. I remember you were a big proponent. You and I really liked Death's Door when that came out. Like these little magical games that would never have seen such a great audience if they weren't on Game Pass. But in 2022 and 2023, like Game Pass didn't have anything big. Now they're absolutely killing it. There are like 12 games coming out on Game Pass from Xbox first party alone. So if they say they're making $5 billion a year, people are like, oh, that doesn't count all that money they spent on their first party studios making games that went out. Like Doom the Dark Ages is there. How are you making $5 billion in revenue and actually turning a profit? My opinion is, if Satya Nadella thinks they made $1, he says that they're profitable because they've said, didn't Phil say on your show? Didn't you guys ask him straight up on one of the podcasts you were on that if it was profitable? I know he was asked that directly, and it was quite a while ago where I think it was, was it you and Danny where he said, stop watching my pocket or something like that?
Well, yeah, he said it was sustainable. He said that for years, that it's excuse me, that it's sustainable. I mean, he's never wavered from that fact. So, I mean, and that's all we have to go by. I mean, I wants to believe everything that Xbox tells you, which I get on some level, but they've never wavered off of the fact that said this business model is sustainable for them. And here we are in 2025 about to go, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I really like being able to play. I tell people I play probably half of the big games I play are on Game Pass. Another half, I buy them outright. I buy a ton of games every year. I spend far more money than I should be spending for gaming. But I don't know. Malik says it's conservative, 60% profit margin on that $5 billion. Sony is at a 7.8 profit margin. We don't know the operating margins of Xbox and Microsoft. They've never revealed those, and I tried to look them up last week. But we do know that PlayStation has announced their profit margins, their operating margins, and they said they've been, quote, razor thin. So going more multi-platform is going to fix that. We've got Danny Passion Official says, I got that theory.
What's the theory? Before you read those, I'm gonna drop Discord and come right back because
I was wondering if that would help.
This is working. Yeah. So go ahead and read the super chats. I'll be right back.
Okay. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat. Yeah, I don't know if that, Discord's ridiculous. And thank you guys for putting up with us tonight. We appreciate it. Hit the like button if you're joining the show. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat says, with an Australian 5, he says, any guesses on the length of time for Xbox's next generation? We sort of covered that. Maybe we'll get into that because I want to talk about the PS6 and the Xbox next. Danny Passion says, maybe I'll get banned for this one. Parris can talk.
Hey, what we do. Let's hope it doesn't cut out anymore. Let's see.
It sounds pretty good right now.
Okay.
Say something else. Tell us.
I'm saying something else. I'll say we're talking about the next gen. My theory is we will, so good. At a minimum, see whatever this next Xbox is on the 25th anniversary next year.
Okay, say it again. Sorry,
That's what I think.
I was reading the chat.
No, I was saying, because they're saying when will next gen start? I mean, I think at a bare minimum, the 25th anniversary is next November. Okay. They will at least show the next Xbox on the 25th anniversary if it's not available on that date. We'll at least see it. And if it's not out on the 25th anniversary, then holiday 2027 would be my guess.
Okay. I can agree with that. I would hope that the OEM thing could kick off in 2026. And your mic sounds great.
So let me ask you that because you've said that before. You talked about it in your video today. So is that the rumor that Microsoft wouldn't even put out their own console first? They would, again, let's just say it's Asus. Asus would have whatever device first, and then later on, Microsoft comes out with their own console?
I would say that doesn't sound like a very good idea, but they're literally doing that with the Xbox One Ally X. And if they announce this Asus thing, Parris, everyone's going to say Xbox first-party hardware is dead. They're never going to. Why would they ever make one? They've got them covered with these other couple of companies who are making one. And until Xbox announces their own, and I've been told there's unequivocally will be a next-generation console from Xbox themselves. Until that announcement is made, everyone's going to say, "Oh, they left the console market. They're leaving it to everybody. They're full third-party, even in hardware."
So let's back up a second here because, and I've seen this comment. People have been losing their minds over this handheld. So going back to this handheld, I've always viewed this, because remember, Jez obviously had the initial rumors about all this stuff, but I've always viewed this Asus handheld as a part of this generation. So it isn't that you're kicking off a new generation with partnered hardware. It's just an extension of the current hardware that's available from Xbox.
Oh.
Whereas I think, and again, I don't know nothing. This is just how I've been looking at it. You would introduce the next generation with your own hardware. And then, I do think there will be OEM devices of various performance levels, by the way. I don't think everything will just be static across the board. And then Microsoft can introduce their own handheld into the next generation along with other partnered devices as well. That's just how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. I mean, I could clearly be wrong. Who the hell knows at this point? But
it sounds like a good way to do it, too.
Yeah. I would personally be surprised if there is a Lenovo or an MSI Xbox before Microsoft has their own Xbox for the next generation.
No.
Now, they could all launch together. Don't get me wrong. But I think on day one, when I want to walk into Best Buy, there should be a Microsoft next-gen Xbox on the shelf and not an Asus one. That's just my opinion, but I guess we'll see.
Oh,
okay. According to the marketing, everything's an Xbox anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's okay. I'm writing, when will Xbox launch? Okay. Well, that's the thing. Like, I could talk about hype. I could talk about what we want, what sounds more exciting, but I like to think of what would be the most logical or the most reasonable way to launch next generation. And I've never once had that voice in my head until you said it. I don't believe that Xbox would let someone else launch before them. And they're doing it with the handheld, but I don't know. They planned on having that handheld first anyway. Even like they planned to have the ROG Ally X first, and then they were going to build the handheld. And for now, they've sidelined it. Maybe they'll never need to make that one, but I guess I can see it both ways.
I personally feel, and we talked about this a little bit already, this handheld, this Windows PC device, whatever you want to call it, is them learning. It's giving them real world feedback on whatever the next operating system is going to be for the next generation Xbox, because I do think it's going to be pretty much a Windows device.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the UI improvements, a lot of the feedback that they're going to need from the community, they're getting that now, or they will be getting that now with this handheld, and they can experiment with that over the next year or so, year and a half, whatever it is, before they then go, all right, here's your next Xbox. Because I do think this as well. I think the next generation, the UI is uniform across anything you're on, be it the cloud, be it the PC handheld, be it a console, the Xbox app on PC. It all looks the same. The navigation, everything's the same. Again, we're already seeing it'll pull in all your digital libraries into that library. You'll see everything right there in front of you. Excuse me. I swear I think I've had like COVID 1952 or something, because I've been like sick for a month.
COVID 2049.
Yeah. But I just think that's where they're headed with this. This is an Xbox thing, that anytime you boot up an quote unquote Xbox device, it all just looks the same, where you're playing in native or you're streaming it from the cloud. And speaking of the cloud, because we talked about this a little bit with the tiers, I actually use GeForce Now a lot currently, right? I mean, full disclosure, I'm a part of their whole partner program, just so you know.
Okay.
But GeForce Now is the definitive cloud streaming device right now, or platform, I should say, service.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they're not going to upgrade that, for Xbox speaking, for next gen. Because, I mean, like, I'm playing Cyberpunk over GeForce Now, 4K, like everything, high frames, all of that, and it plays fantastic.
Why? I mean, because you have a 4090 PC, and you're playing on a 4080 rig, right? It's a 4080 rig in the cloud?
You can play on a dumb device. Yeah. They're using 4000 series cards in the cloud right now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to be upgraded to the 5000 series as well. But my point is, Xbox has to get there for the next generation of their cloud offering.
What we've heard is Xbox plans to put something out soon for next generation, for the cloud feature to be more powerful than the current GeForce Now. And I agree with Parris. NVIDIA will leapfrog them when they upgrade their cloud system. But I can tell you, I've never played on GeForce, but I can tell you the power you get from a 4080 rig, because I think that's what GeForce Now is. It's not a 4090 or 4080 Super. I have a 4080 Super on PC.
It's a 4080. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what you're getting in that power on cloud is more than you'll ever desire to get on-demand gaming. And if Xbox plans to be slightly better than that, plus if their console is slightly better, I'm not going to be the guy that's not what it's going to be. But if they're saying their cloud's going to be better than what they offer on for the 4080, then that sounds like Xbox saying their next generation console is going to be slightly better than the graphics performance of a 4080 next generation. I can't see that happening. Let's talk about the new leak that Moore's Law, and backed by Kepler L2, who is a very trusted leaker. Moore's Law is dead. He's had his great credible moments. He's had a couple things that didn't turn out to be true, and we've been there. But he's had some backing on these recent developments, and I put out a video today about the PS6. And I'll tell you, from taking a few steps back, the PS6, and I've covered this really well in Gaz's video because it was brand new information. The PS6, Parris, is supposed to be Hold on. Parris and I were talking right before the show starts. He said, Colt, you said a lot of technical stuff that I don't know what it means, but I can break it down in simple forms, and we can have a lot of fun with this. The PS6 is supposed to be a lower-powered, more affordable upgrade to the PS5 Pro for next generation, because PlayStation believes that what we're getting right now with the PlayStation 5 Pro is, I think I said 4. I will misspeak. The PS6 will be slightly more powerful, or significantly more powerful than the PS5 Pro, an upgrade to what you'd expect, but an affordable PlayStation. And PlayStation believes that the graphics we're getting right now on mainstream gaming and what people have for displays, being 4K, 60, some at 120, that is the baseline standard, and that will push us into next generation. Xbox doesn't believe that because they want to support PC and console games. So Xbox wants you to have more headroom and overhead to get your graphics pushed to the next level. PlayStation can put out a console that is priced around $500 in 2027, according to Moore's Law. And I think it would sell like hotcakes, and people wouldn't mind the PS6 holding back the Xbox one bit. All right, that's a lot. I'll let you run with it as far as that. I hope that intro works for you, Parris, but that's what we're looking at.
No, it works. I would love to see a console be $500 again. So let's pray that does happen. Yeah. But I think, again, with Xbox's strategy, it's going to be more expensive than whatever PlayStation comes out with, and I think that's just what they plan to do. They're going to offer us a box to the hardcore, to the extremist crowd, or enthusiast crowd, I should say, not extremist, enthusiast crowd, and it's going to be costly. I think people need to brace for impact when it comes to that, because I do think PlayStation is sticking to the traditional model of, let's subsidize the box, let's make it more affordable, let's make it so more consumers can go pick it up, whereas Xbox is probably, and again, we're assuming, we don't know nothing, yeah, it'll have all the bells and whistles, it'll be a beast, but you get what you pay for, ultimately. Absolutely. So the people that want to go buy that, knock yourself out, go do it. Those that don't, they're okay with that too, because the games will be on PlayStation, they'll be on Switch too, you can build a PC, hell, they'll probably still be most playable on the Series X and the S too. So they're just going to provide options. I think they're going to scale their hardware towards the more high end moving forward, which for some people that's perfectly fine. More power, the better. And then for other people that, hey, that's out of my price range, you'll have to look at other devices to be able to play those games.
Yeah, I also agree.
Let's say if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. Yeah.
I also agree that the Series X and the PS5 will be supported for quite a while. The Series S is going to be a problem. I don't know. That's the thing that really started to get me laughing was this discussion of a 160 watt PS6, which is closer to the power of a PS4 and Xbox One as far as power draw. But this PS6 is supposed to be like 2 times more powerful than the PS5 Pro. So it sounds really, really good. And if I try to sell you on the idea that the next generation Xbox is going to be way more powerful than that, what does it really matter in the grand scheme of developers build their games up to a certain scope? And I think that PlayStation is banking on, this is basically what developers build, and this is the hardware that they would be targeting anyway in the next decade. So I think it's funny that PlayStation can maybe offer you a $500 or $600 console. I thought the $700 would be the base price for PlayStation. If this is true, if you can believe what Moore's Law is hearing from AMD partners and his insiders, that PlayStation really wants to make it affordable, I think you should be clapping your hands and saying, hey, that's great. But if you're going to say that the Series S held back the generation, you obviously haven't played on a Series S. The thing is amazing. That box is incredible. But the baseline would not be the PlayStation 6, Parris. It would be the Project Canis, which is their native handheld, which is more like a PS5 handheld. Like you said it brilliantly, that the Xbox ROG Ally X is really a current generation handheld, not made really for next generation, and hopefully you can fold in. but PlayStation plans to put out their own Xbox ROG Ally X, or whatever you call it, and that could be the baseline for developers if that's a hardware profile they're shooting for. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how you kind of have to think of it moving into the next gen. The current gen hardware is going to be the baseline for the next gen. Not, even though sure, The Witcher 4 will be on the PS6 and all of that, but The Witcher 4 is also going to be on the PS5. And to your point about whatever this handheld is going to be, in the Ally X handheld and the Series S and all of that too. So we'll see. I mean, we know AI is going to play a factor into this as far as the scaling and I'm talking machine learning stuff as far as scaling goes.
Yep.
That's going to factor into this as far as squeezing more performance out of these boxes. So I'm excited for the next gen because I'm always excited for new tech and new hardware and all that. But I'm very cautious about what these things are going to cost. I hear him saying 500. I don't believe it. I do not believe a PlayStation 6 is going to be $500. I do think it starts at $7. I do.
Just like the Pro.
I think the days of us getting $399, $499 hardware they're gone. I don't think it happens anymore. The fact that a Switch 2 is $450 now says it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, good point. I mean, there's some interesting discrepancies with Moore's Law's reporting on. First, he reported on Project Magnus, which is Xbox's console, and I did a video before the PS6 information came out. And then when he started to describe the PS6, he was very generous with how much extra performance this supposed affordable, lower-powered PS6 would be. And I really want this thing to be $500 because the PlayStation is a secondary console for me. I'll use it to play Death Stranding 2 when it comes out, or Wolverine, or Intergalactic when those games come out, because I might not want to wait for PC on on some of these games, and I won't wait. So if you're talking about next generation, whatever PlayStation has, I don't want to wait. I would rather have an affordable secondary console. I don't want to pay $700+ just to have access to a 1 or 2 games a year. And so is it going to be that cheap? I look at the numbers, Parris, and it doesn't look like an affordable console to me. He's talking about 50 compute units. The current consoles have, oh my gosh, what's the number? I'm sorry. I know a lot of this tech stuff can be lame, but I just need a measuring stick for you because I'm not going to use teraflops. The current Xbox Series X has 52 compute units. Moore's Law is saying the PS6 will have 52 compute units. It'll have higher clocks and higher frequency, so it'll do more power on that. A higher clock speed will give you, more performance for bigger games, right? So to put it in perspective, the PS6 would have around the same compute units as the current model consoles right now, but then he says that the Xbox Magnus is somewhere like almost 70 compute units. And so I'm not seeing the PS6 being dirt cheap when I look at some of these, some of these hardware profiles that he's talking about, but I don't understand all of that stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, I've learned my lesson to hey, let's just wait till the things are out and see what they can actually do versus speculating just off of tech spec sheets, because it really comes down to what are the developers going to prioritize as far as their games go, as far as is resolution more important than they're trying to get the maximum frames? Are they trying to do ray tracing? There's all these different variables that'll go into these games when we do hit whatever the next gen is going to be. I get on paper, people are saying, well, hey, this next Xbox could be way more powerful than whatever the PS6 is. But then I remember people saying that the last generation too. And then ultimately these boxes, oh, I don't know. Who said that?
Who made videos like that?
But my point on that is ultimately here we are at the end of the day. These boxes are essentially all doing the same thing, So I mean,
games look phenomenal on them. I play. You and I play on PC a lot, and I get so sick of the elitist attitude when it comes to consoles versus PlayStation or PC. I've dealt with that for many, many years. But when you can get a console for around $500 and these games look absolutely incredible, and the games are just really good. I know we were talking about how the generation's kind of been a disaster, but we've had some amazing games, especially this past few years, that we've fallen in love with, and that's really what matters. And everything's pretty much 60 frames. 90% of the games run on a great frame rate, and they just look great on your TV. And I just don't want to hear people whining so much. We're in a good spot. I'm just unfortunate. I got to ask you, if you think that the base PS6 would start at 700, what's this Xbox thing going to be?
Oh man, if we're lucky, 9.
Does the Rock Ally X kind of paint the picture for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's looking like the X is going to be 9, right? So maybe the next generation Xbox, maybe they can get that at $899. I mean, we'll see. It's obviously all speculation
Feels
right
like
now.
Double.
Yeah.
Feels like double the price of what we'd be used to, because it almost is.
Yep.
I don't know.
It is. I mean, I'll say this on a brighter note, because it all feels like doom and gloom when you just talk about pricing on these things. We'll see. I'm definitely excited to get into next year, to get to that 25th anniversary of Xbox, because I do think they have a great opportunity of celebrating 25 years of Xbox throughout the year next year, and then culminating it potentially with this Halo game and showing off new hardware, and really setting the roadmap, so to speak, for what next gen Xbox is going to look like. I think that's what next year, in my opinion, is all about. Like we were just talking about before, upgrading the cloud. What are you doing with Windows? Is it really a hybrid device? How does it work with Steam in the Epic Store on a console? What is Forza Horizon 6? What is Fable? Let's see these games. Let's see all these amazing experiences they potentially could have. Gears E-Day obviously is another one that should be coming next year as well. I'm going to leave that one alone. I'll leave that one alone. I have no comment.
I have a feeling there's been some arguments back and forth between peers about what that could be, and
here's what I will say. Until we are told differently, Fable is coming in 2026.
Yeah, we've been in that world.
We've been there.
Every developer has problems. Releasing on time is nearly impossible for most devs.
I do think a big variable in all of this will be Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, they're saying May right now. I don't believe it, by the way. I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out in May. I think we'll see that game in September or October of next year. And I do think because of that, you will see games shift around, because no one wants to come out around that game, which, let's just say Fable was targeted for October of 2026. And then all of a sudden, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out in October of 2026.
Yeah.
I might push Fable to spring of 2027 just for that fact, if I was in charge, because I want to make sure that game gets all the room it needs so it can be as successful as it can be. And if it has to wait a few more months, so be it.
I think GTA 6 is going to be one of the biggest video game releases of all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah. Ah, man, I don't want to wait any longer, but gosh. Udona Kizada, thank you so much for the super. Says, chat, what cool game did Game Pass get you into, especially from a genre you don't normally try? Parris, take a second and think, what Game Pass game
I got one already.
you?
Got in my head.
Yeah, what is it?
Wheel World. Go play it. Wheel World.
Wheel World?
Yes, it's on Game Pass.
How long ago was this that it won you over?
It just came out like last week, I believe. It's bike racing. It's awesome. Go play it.
Okay. It's one of these. I really love the rally game that is a lot like this. I'm looking at a picture of it. It's cell shaded. It is it's like a third person trailing camera.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in this game?
You get into various races in this world. That's why it's called Wheel World on your bicycle. It's cycle racing. And
is there a pedal mechanic, like stamina, kind of like GTA 5 did?
Somewhat, yeah. Somewhat. You can upgrade your bike. You get parts. There's a story component to it. It's really fun. I really enjoyed that game. It was very nice. Again, it's Annapurna. Annapurna makes these kind of games. It's an Annapurna type of game. Yeah. So it's great. And again, Game Pass. You can go play it right now.
What was it called? There's that rally game, Rally Game Pass. I forgot what it's called. The Art of Rally is what it's called, and it is that same art style.
I never played that.
And it's kind of a isometric view, and the camera's even reversed on you sometimes. And it's very simplified graphics, and I couldn't stop playing it. Another game that really won me over in Game Pass was Vampire Survivor. I would never play something like that, and it was crack cocaine for hours on end. And I remember I had the really cool privilege of being taught how to play the game by Phil Spencer on Party Chat, because at the time he got on a Party Chat. He's like, Cole, here's how you do it. You got to do this and this and this and this. You got to get the garlic and do it. He was like talking really, really fast. Like, you could tell he was so excited about this game, because, you remember the story. He basically like pulled in that developer and, brought him to the console market and everything. And, Phil was playing this game. He says, I would go to work. I would go into the conference room where we have the Samsung TV with Game Pass on demand. And he said I would play for like a half an hour, and then I would be supposed to be going to meetings. They're like, Phil, where are you? And he'd be playing. So the other one that absolutely won me over is a game that I made fun of when it was revealed in 2019. I thought it was something Xbox should not even be bothering to fund. I thought it was the last thing Xbox needed, and I would never play it. But it became probably one of my favorite games this generation, is Grounded. And I am playing Grounded 2 with my kids right now. We're probably 25 hours in already. Just when it launched, I didn't even play it under review, Parris, because I played the opening hour or so under review embargo, and I'm like, I can't do this. My kids and I spent 400 hours in the backyard for Grounded 1 in 2022, and it's going to sound really cheesy, but it was a bonding, defining moment for my kids and I. I have 3 kids, but my daughter and my son and I felt like we were in the yard together. And my son became Pete, my daughter became Willow, and that's how we saw each other. And I played as Max, and I am loving Grounded 2. I don't know how much time you got into it, because I know you got it early as well. But have you played it at all?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I was playing it for review. I mean, there's other things that I think you might be playing right now, so I haven't had a chance to really get into it post review period. But I loved it. I mean, I went to the event, got to interview Obsidian, and we got to talk about it and all that. Yeah, I mean, I love it. And to your point about the original Grounded, it was just one of those things that for me, I was like, really, the thing? And then you start playing it, and then you play with friends. The co-op experience is so good in Grounded, and Grounded 2 just carries that forward. And I love the fact, and I asked this in the interview, I go, well, you already did game preview. You've already gotten all this community feedback. Why are you doing it again? And their answer, which totally makes sense, is like, we want to do it again because we want the community to be an active participant as we build out this experience. Because again, the buggies was a community request from Grounded 1 that they're now able to do in Grounded 2. And we're going to hear about that. There's going to be more stuff that to expand out, the park and moving forward. So yeah, I love Grounded. I love the fact that it's something that if you play it and you're active in the community, it makes you feel like you're part of building this experience out. So you're
building inside the game, and then you're building the DNA of what it finally becomes. And I interviewed Eric Diobriola from the community manager for Obsidian in 2022 when the game was about to launch. And my kids and I have played so much, and my son likes to draw, and he drew all these different crafting ideas that he thought should be added into the game. And as a joke, during the interview, I had the drawing sitting here, and I said, hey, Eric, can I just show you some of my ideas that my son has? And I held it up on camera just as a quick joke. And I said he wants to be able to craft saddles to ride insects. And when we found out the game was getting rideable, when he says buggies, Parris means That's what they call it in the game, where you can ride ants and spiders.
Yeah.
We sort of pretend like my son helped forge that concept and is a part of something like that being created. This would be a great time. I got to ask you about the team. You've had the opportunity to interview Obsidian a couple times, and they're one of you and my favorite developers. Like, what do you see in the future? Outer Worlds is coming. Can they touch Fallout? Will they be somewhat involved in something like Fallout in the future, would you think, in your personal opinion?
So I will give full disclosure here that I am extremely biased when it comes to Obsidian, because they are one of my favorite developers ever. And I've said it a million times, we will look back and that'll be the most important acquisition that Xbox has ever made, is that studio. And you're getting an example of it this year with 3 games coming out. They're just a workhorse, is what that studio does. I finally got to scratch it off my bucket list last year, and I went to the studio last year. It was freaking amazing to be there. You would never guess where that studio is. It was hilarious when you find out where it is. I'm like, really? But no, here it is. But being able to go there.
Yeah, don't tell me, because I'll drive by it. I'll try and go in there.
Yeah. Trust me. If I say where it is, a lot of people will go by there. But to see how passionate everyone is at that studio about the stuff that they make, and then even here just with Grounded 2. Like, it's funny you bring up Eric. I actually talked to him on stage at the showcase when I hosted Showcase back in 2021 when they were doing Grounded. I remember talking with him, and before we went on camera, just talking about how, dude, it was like 17 people that were working on that game originally. And to now see it expand to the point where they're bringing in Eidos Montreal to help them as well. That's how big Grounded has become. But to answer your question, I will say that I hope, I am fingers crossed, I am praying that Obsidian does, Josh Schroyer and all them, they do get another crack at Fallout. We do get a spiritual successor to New Vegas, because I think that studio's earned it. I will say, because I got hands on with Outer Worlds 2, at Showcase this year. And it was just brief, but
yeah,
I was getting those vibes just in that brief time. So hopefully I'll get, more chances here, leading up to launch, obviously review period, all that, to play it more. But when I got briefed that they were lowering the price to $70 for Outer Worlds 2, I was telling the PR rep, I go, oh, thank God. And then I had a chance, because I'm literally at the Grounded 2 event when I found this out, right? And I was talking to some people I know at Obsidian, and just the relief that they had, because that game at 80 was going to have a far smaller chance of success than it will at 70, because it's just something that, I know it's $10. I know it's $10, but you see that number and you're like, I don't know. Call of Duty's coming out. Oh, this is out. I don't know if I want to go play it. Whereas now I think more people will give it a chance. And to your point,
that number hurts your debit card a little bit more than, and
it really does.
I believe that people will also, on principle, say, I'm not buying an $80 game. Like, you can be a big fan 100%. Of something like Outer Worlds 2 or whatever. I have a friend who's like tried to stay away from the $70 games. And when you take something like Outer Worlds 2 and you're like, oh, I really wanted that, but on principle. And I don't blame people. I also don't blame people if they just don't pre-order games. I don't even bother pre-ordering. The digital copy's not going to run out of units, but I don't know.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's like, you're going to have people be way more selective about what they buy. I get, because at least with 70, it somewhat feels normalized. But and again, this is why I tell you this is the worst gaming generation ever. You've had 2 price increases in one generation. That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. So thankfully, at least we get a temporary reprieve from this for the rest of this year. And Call of Duty and Outer Worlds 2, and some other games will come out at 70 or less, like Keeper. They haven't put a price on Keeper yet, but Keeper, I would imagine, is probably like a $40 or $50 game as well. Ninja Gaiden, I think, well, they did say it's 70. I'm assuming that is 70, so Ninja Gaiden 4. But, Ghost of Yotei will also be 70 as well. Like, I'll say this, and I know I'm tangenting a little bit on it. Like, if I didn't get the Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World, which essentially I got it for $50, I would not have bought Mario Kart World at 80.
Was it really? Is it really $80 for Mario Kart World if you buy it separate?
It's $80. Yeah, it's $80, and I like Mario Kart World, but I don't $80 love it. I know that, and I wouldn't have bought it at that price. That'll be as we go into the next year. Like, look, we know Grand Theft Auto 6 can get away with any price they want, but not every game can do that. And The Outer Worlds 2 is a great example. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. With Grand Theft Auto 6, I think it will be $70 for the base game, but there's going to be an early access period. There's going to be a FOMO period. That'll be $100 plus.
That everyone will buy. You know, all the people are like, yeah, everyone's like, I don't buy $80 games, and everyone makes that joke that if there's a 3-day early access for Grand Theft Auto, they'll pay it, Parris, and then they'll have the game beaten before it comes out to everybody else.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. That's what I think they'll do. So, I mean, we'll see. I just want more games to have the ability to succeed. And if these prices just keep going up for The Outer Worlds 2, look, the first Outer Worlds I loved. It wasn't really a AAA game. It was more of a AA game when that game came out. Remember Obsidian's with Private Division when it came out, all that. So sure, this is the sequel to it. It's going to be bigger and more expansive, but it doesn't have the brand awareness that I see an $80 price tag on it that I'm going to go run out day one and go get it. What I would do is I would look at it and go, if I have Game Pass, obviously play it there. But if I don't, I'm going to look at that and go, well, I'll wait to see what other people say. I don't know if I'm going to buy that at 80. I just wouldn't buy it day one.
We got an insight from you when you said that Obsidian Entertainment had breathed a sigh of relief that the game got popped down to $70. And we have had discussions about Gearbox, and Randy Pitchford goes, you know, if you really like Borderlands, you'll pay the money. And people are like, well, this is Randy Pitchford's decision. Are you implying that Obsidian doesn't get to choose the price of their game, and that it's something that Microsoft or the Xbox division price set for them at 80?
To be clear, the people that I was fortunate enough to talk to don't make the decisions when it comes to that stuff, whether at Obsidian or Xbox or whatever. Okay. These are just hardworking people that are making games. So I don't have the answer to that.
I think it's fairly safe without, like making a horrible assumption that it's at the publisher level where the price is set. So it's most likely that Obsidian doesn't set the price. And I'll just say so you're not speaking for them, because you did talk to them. I would say the assumption is that the publisher sets the price. So Xbox and Microsoft made the decision to be $80, and Take-Two made the decision to be, Take 2K. 2K made the decision for Gearbox's Borderlands 4 to be, we don't know. Like I think they did set it to 80 and they hadn't announced it yet. And they made another move kind of like Xbox did. Like, this isn't really working out for us. Let's drop it to 70 and we'll make up the difference in the long run, which is good for us as consumers. We've got, this is a great one. Mac22TH54, thank you for the $5 super, says, Game Pass is $5 billion in revenue, according to Microsoft and Xbox. They are a publicly traded company, meaning if they lie about being profitable, he says, they go to jail. And you're wondering if they're profitable. He's hashtag, are you serious? Yeah, I mean, Phil said things like that it's profitable, that it's sustainable. He said this in the ABK trials under oath.
Yeah.
The difference being that he said that Indiana Jones and Elder Scrolls 6 would be exclusive while he was under oath with the ABK trials, but things can change. So, yeah, I guess eventually maybe Game Pass comes into a position where they're not profitable and that statement's no longer true, but when you're saying it at the moment, they're absolutely profitable right now. And Parris, I think you illustrate quite well that it's only getting better. The games are getting bigger and they're drawing in more people or keeping them much longer, which makes more money. TS Bud 95, thanks for the 2, says, I'm just waiting on Kingdom Hearts 4, to be honest. Has that been announced?
Yeah, that news to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought people are waiting. Danny Pasha says, Parris, thoughts on thoughts on Battlefield 6 versus Black Ops 7. I wanted to hear your thoughts because I watched your footage. You went to the Battlefield event, and I stole that picture of you and photoshopped it into the promo. I thought, let's just do this without his permission, and we'll see how it goes. So you got hands on this sucker.
Yeah. So I went to the Battlefield reveal event last week out here in LA. It was like a 2-day event. God, it was maybe like 400 people total between creators and media that were there. Got to play it for 2 days straight. Live streamed at one point. Got a bunch of capture footage as well. Excuse me. It's very polished, very, very polished. Like it feels like it could come out today.
Like Vince Sempala polished.
And I was about to go there with that. You can tell. Oh, okay. So let's go back in time. When 2042 came out and that beta came out, you go back and roll the tape. I am on XCast saying, do not release this game. It is not ready. You're setting yourselves up for failure. I said that multiple times. They put it out anyways. And 2042 is what it is. So much so, they got Vince Zampella to come in. They essentially created Battlefield Studios, which is Motive, Criterion, DICE, and I want to say Reflective. I'm screwing up the 4 studios name, but it's 4 studios under that umbrella that is essentially making Battlefield now, and
kind of like a COD setup, yeah.
Yeah. But it's so funny because we got a chance. We got to talk to Vince Zampella while we're at the event, and it's so funny. This is how long I've been around. I can take you all the way back to 2007.
Yeah.
And I made a trip to some unknown place in Los Angeles. And I went to Infinity Ward and I sat down and I got to see what it was called at the time, Call of Duty 3, which ultimately became Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare. I was one of the first people to see that multiplayer. And it's so funny in the moment, you don't realize how transformative that was going to be for the entire industry. But that was Vince Zampella then. It was Vince Zampella, Jason West.
That's right.
At the
time.
Infinity
Ward. That was. I did a video a couple months ago about 2007 being a defining moment in gaming, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare was the entrance of the cinematic blockbuster Michael Bay first-person shooter. It was huge. And we also got Uncharted 1. So cinema had come to gaming for the first time ever. And you got to see that sucker when it was pretty fresh then.
I mean, this was before, like, Robert Bowling was a community manager back then for Infinity Ward. It was crazy. And it was like, you don't realize you're witnessing history at the time. But I bring all that up to think that Vince Zampella is responsible for what Call of Duty is today, and then here he is reinventing Battlefield. And when I say reinventing, what he's done is this team has done is they've gotten it back to what made Battlefield great. They're getting it back to that Battlefield 3 era, because that's what this felt like playing. This felt like playing Battlefield 3. The destruction is off the charts. Just the sound, the gunplay, these maps we're playing on. Again, it's squad based. It's more tactical than what Call of Duty is, which is fine. And to answer this question, Call of Duty and Battlefield are perfectly okay. You can like both. It is okay to like both of them. There's no reason to compete. I will be playing both this year because
they'll both
like
sell
both
really well.
Yeah, for different reasons.
Well, isn't that
6
something
feels
that
very polished?
Isn't that something we don't get these days? When you said they're bringing it back to its form, think of all the franchises that have sort of died over the past 5 or 6 years, like or died the way that we wanted them to, like, continue their greatness. And Mass Effect is one, Dragon Age is another. I'm sure you could think of some off the top of your head that they're just not their former. They don't hold their the glory that they were built off of. And I think it's really cool that they bring in Vince and they're like, just do what everyone loves, and it sounds like they're actually doing it. So what have they told you about the campaign? Because we're seeing a lot of multiplayer content, and I love the Battlefield
very
campaigns.
Little information. I mean, we only got to see, like, if you watch that live stream, they showed that to us the day before. I mean, they're being essentially what they said, there will be a time and a place to talk more about it closer to launch, October 10th. And then obviously they teased Firestorm, the Battle Royale, which that'll be in Battlefield Labs this year. But from what I understand, we won't get that Battle Royale until 2026. Because the way it was explained to me is, we're going to get campaign out we're going to get this multiplayer out day one, October 10th. And then we're going to have a series of new modes, maps, things that are going to come out over a period of time to essentially keep people engaged with the game so they don't walk away from it. But the big thing, and the thing that Vince Zampella himself is most excited about, is Portal, which is, for all intents and purposes, this is their version of Forge, Halo, with Forge, where you get to create your own maps and stuff. And Portal's already been around. This isn't new, but they're adding more tools to the sandbox to allow the community to be more creative with it. And I even joked with them. I said, give it a week, and you're going to see some of the craziest stuff ever. Just watch. Once you hand the keys to the community, they're going to do things that you didn't even think of in this game, which is going to be really wild to see. But it's good. That open beta, a matter of fact, chat, I got a surprise for you I'm going to do in just a second. But that open beta is out on the 7th of this week for early access, and then on the 9th it's just open to everyone, and then they'll have a second weekend the following weekend as well. But chat, if you give me just a second, I may or may not have a few codes to drop in the chat so you can get early access to the Battlefield 6 open beta on your platform of choice. So
you guys better be ready for that.
They might just magically show up here in just a second as Colt starts talking.
I appreciate you. Epic Treasure, thank you so much for gifting a channel membership to I'm Cuz Tom Z. Thank you. We appreciate you, everybody, for being here. It's been a really great show so far. We got P Lump with the super chat. Says Parris 1. Parris 2 is in the building. Play my theme song. P Lump. Oh, I was going to say, I don't know that Parris, do I? No, that's a different Parris I know. Yeah. But you might know him.
Oh, what's that? Oh, wait, that looks terrible the way it formatted. But those are the codes. Figure it out.
Hey, that
looks terrible.
That's part of deciphering. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me do this better. That was pretty bad.
Oh, you haven't pasted it in yet?
No, I did paste it in, but it jumbled it all together. It didn't uniform it. Oh well. Sorry about that. Here, I'll do it again. One at a freaking time. But I'm listening, Colt, as I'm putting codes in the chat.
They're saying I don't know who P Lump is, but
I know who P Lump is. Actually, his name is Parris as well. So that was a joke.
I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to meet then, and you should be around here a little more often, and we can say hi and get to know each other. And look at those codes going in. You guys are gonna be playing some Battlefield. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so funny you were talking about some of the other games. There's been one or two other preview games that I haven't even had time to lock down, and part of that's the fault of Grounded 2, but yeah, it's been absolutely busy. One last thing, Starfield is supposed to get hopefully some big updates. We talked about this a little bit last week, but there's a rumor that there's 1 or 2 more Xbox games announced to come to PlayStation, and I heard maybe the current Flight Sim is going to come to PlayStation, but I don't know. What do you think about Starfield? Will they have some big announcement at Gamescom since you're going here in a couple of weeks? What's Bethesda going to do there?
I'm not surprised at all with what. Well, no, I'll take that back. I'm actually a little surprised that Starfield, if we go by these rumors, won't show up until 2026 or early 2026. But I had always thought they're going to just announce this stuff at Gamescom, which they still might do. But it makes a lot of sense that when you do put it on PlayStation 5, you do it at the same time as the expansion, and you just get like the ultimate edition of Starfield or whatever on PS5. And obviously, if you already have it on Xbox, you just get that expansion. Flight Sim coming to PS5 seems like a no-brainer to me. Why wouldn't it? Yeah. Again, when we talk about Forza Horizon 5 being a big seller, I think Flight Sim will do quite well on PlayStation because it's never been there. This is the simulator. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it'll do quite well on PlayStation when that happens. But yeah, other than that, for Bethesda, so take you back to Summer Game Fest. When they did the fishing update for Fallout 76. Yeah. So I interviewed, well, you know John, because we were at the event together.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Rush, creative director, was there. So we sat down pretending to fish, and we were talking. And unprompted in our interview, he said the biggest update ever for Fallout 76 is coming later this year.
Oh my gosh, so I'm so excited. Do you know what it is?
So I put 2 and 2. Well, here we go.
Okay.
So
okay.
I put 2 and 2 together, and I go, what else Fallout related is coming at the end of this year? Season 2 of the TV show.
Sure. Yeah.
By December, I think this will be tied into season 2 of the TV show, and then Jonathan Rush talked with Variety, and Variety pretty much confirmed that as well. That what this update's going to be is going to be tied into season 2 of Fallout. And my theory is, I don't know nothing. I want to be clear. If you watch the TV show, I gotta, because I don't want to spoil it. Where they're headed at the end of the TV show is where I think we might see an expedition in Fallout 76. I'll just leave it at that. That's what I think.
I heard that there is a Creation Engine 2.0 graphics overhaul, actual real current generation version of Fallout 76 coming soon. I don't know why they would do that, because Fallout 76 is built off of Creation Engine 1.0, which is Fallout 4. And I played a lot of 76, and Fallout 76 does not look as nice as Fallout 4, even before the update. But I don't know how they do this, but the rumor was that they were going to take the Starfield Creation Engine 2.0 and build the update for Fallout 76 in it. And I never thought about the possibility of, I was pointing at the sign, of a big expedition in a different location for Fallout 76. I'll try and keep that as vague as you did as well for people who haven't finished the show. But I do have a favorite Fallout game, and it's old.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
I got a question for you, because you and I last year we were in London, and we got to see the update at the time for Fallout 76. Do you remember the question I asked Jonathan Rush and the team on why there isn't crossplay in Fallout 76?
Yeah, big can of worms. That it was built into the framework to have it by platform, and that they couldn't just patch in the ability to transfer your character over to PC or PlayStation or Xbox, vice versa. I think that was mostly what they answered. What am I missing?
No, you nailed it, because he essentially was saying that all the work, the time and the effort that would need to go into doing that would take away time and effort from them putting new content into the game. So it wasn't worth the effort to be able to do. So, because I think people were speculating that as well. It's like, oh, we're going to get crossplay. I don't think so.
But I don't think so. I think they're still talking about
is what it is.
They're not leaving that carrot on the end of the stick forever. I think they said they're still considering that an eventual possibility. If people don't realize it, Parris, that Fallout 76 is massively popular and a very well-loved franchise. And
I mean, think about it. Phil gets nuked every week in the game.
Yeah. We played with Stein and Phil and That Blue Number, and Dante and I were playing in a session with those guys, and Phil gets showered with gifts while he's just trying to like craft his stuff. People like dropping in bags of stuff. The game's amazing. I played it. Yeah, I played a lot. Yeah.
No, but I am excited to see what this update's going to be, because I mean, I will fully admit I did not get into Fallout 76 until we went to that event last year. Yeah, that's what got. Well,
I was the year before for me, but for years
it was the TV. It was the TV show coupled with going to that event is what got me into it. And I think if there's a ball that Microsoft and Bethesda has dropped, it is not having the foresight.
Oh my gosh.
That having something ready to go with that TV show. Minecraft, I mean, when you look at what Minecraft just did, you see what the Fallout TV show is doing. If they had, and it's great that, Fallout 76 has had a resurgence. We saw a resurgence in Fallout 4, stuff like that. We've obviously heard the rumors of the 3 remake, remaster, or whatever.
Oh,
but man, if they would have had a brand new Fallout game ready to go,
I know.
I mean, the numbers would be off the charts. It just would be.
They didn't even have tie-in 76 content other than a vault suit for the show.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Which to the point, I think they're going to rectify that this year. They're going to have a lot of content tied into the show in 76. But man, if they like, I'm just going to say the bad word out loud. Imagine if they had Fallout Vegas 2. Oh my God.
You don't know.
It's all I would play.
Well, have you understood how much I love that game?
Yeah. I mean, it is. Look, one of the when I think about interviews and things that I've done over the years, one that stands out to me, a proudful moment for me was when Fallout 70, I almost said 76, when Fallout New Vegas came out, I got Pete Hines to come on the podcast. Gosh, and look, he's not the developer or whatever, but Pete Hines and I literally sat for an hour and a half just talking about Fallout New Vegas.
Because he plays the games. He
plays the games. He knows it. Yes. He's a reliable source for stuff like that, even though he's obviously was not an active developer or anything like that.
Well, remember, you and Cog and I talked to Pete Hines at the Starfield Direct event, and he was talking to us about how Starfield was like 5 games in one. He's building his ship. Yep. He's exploring, and he's playing like he says he's not doing anything but playing that game. But some great DNA at Bethesda, and us as fans, like, this is why it's really important for us to be constructively criticize and just be respectful to these devs. Let them know what we want to see and what we love and what they can do to improve things, because I don't know why Xbox dropped the ball on Fallout when they were building the show, and maybe they had their hands full, but there had to be a small team saying, hey, come on, we need some content out. And it's upsetting that we won't see Fallout 5 until around 2030. But I think they fast-tracked that because the show's done so well and the fans have spoken out. And so speak out.
It just makes sense. I mean, was it Matt Booty that said, I forget, or was it Phil in the thing of the layoffs? I forget exactly which executive at Xbox said it. But I think it's Booty, they talked about focusing on, their popular IPs. Fallout is one of their popular IPs. So you got to do that. It just makes sense that you would prioritize that moving forward. And you don't do it to the point where you're just rushing out some slop or anything like that.
No, they're bringing some teams together. And when you and I were talking about Obsidian, if Obsidian isn't going to make a spin-off Fallout game, maybe what that means is Obsidian is going to play a big role in helping another studio come together to make Fallout happen earlier. Like, I could see something like that happening, and we don't know what's going to happen, but when they say that they want to focus on the franchises that make them great money and are tried and true, I think we might miss out on some gems that some of these studios are like cooking up and trying to make like the next big thing. But it might also fast track the reality that Elder Scrolls will come out maybe a little bit sooner, or a Fallout game will come out instead of waiting till 2035 or waiting until we get the actual nuclear apocalypse. But
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. I'm curious your thoughts on this. So again, on the Fallout theme, just thinking back with Battlefield, how it said there's essentially 4 studios under that banner, right, making that game.
Oh yeah.
We know they're doing Elder Scrolls 6, but Bethesda proper, right?
I'm going to get a list up for you because I think I know what you might be asking.
Well, maybe not exactly, because my thought is more about, will he let go and let someone else do it idea of Todd Howard. Does Todd Howard say, I'm leading Elder Scrolls 6 to get that out of the door? Does he just executive produce on a Fallout and let someone else make it? And to your point, because you got obviously Bethesda Austin, which is doing 76, Obsidian, you can bring in, I don't know, Machine Game. Like, there's other studios out there that could obviously help with this to get it out. But does he hand over the keys to someone else to be the creative lead for it? That's kind of my question.
Believe yes, because Ryan McCaffrey interviewed Todd Howard in 2022, and he basically told Ryan, no, that's my baby, don't touch it, right? But now recently he said, I'm looking into things. I think he's felt the pressure, and he knows that he can't wait. I think Todd Howard I would assume he wants to retire in the next few years or whatever, several years, like launch Elder Scrolls 6, maybe launch Fallout 5, and then say, I did it. I'm amazing. I had a great team around me or whatever, right? So my idea is, if Todd's willing to let that go, and I think he is, you and I could come up with a dream team of Xbox Game Studios to work on Fallout. And I think you and I would agree, bring in Exile and Obsidian Entertainment and maybe some other studio to make Fallout 5 and just have them co-develop this game. Or maybe just have Obsidian be the main. But, you know, it could be 2026 or 27 that Clockwork Revolution comes out and then they're not working on anything. Outer Worlds 2 comes out and all they're doing is early access build of Grounded 2 and Outer Worlds is done. Like, what else are they going to work on? And you could sit and, like, you can play like armchair quarterback and say, put Obsidian as one of the main developers on the next Fallout game. Bring in Exile because they come from Interplay and the very DNA and genesis of what Fallout is. Brian Fargo would absolutely love to do it. Bring in Tim Kaine as a consultant or as a liaison. He would, you know, I don't know if he wants to make a big AAA game again, but we can sit and hope and dream that the next great Fallout game could come soon. And I know Xbox Studios has the people that can make it phenomenal. I'd love to see it.
I guess that's the whole point. The talent is there already in-house to be able to do it. It's just, how do you utilize that talent and the resources to focus on that game? I would assume, because this is why they make way more money than I do, these discussions have already happened. You know,
they're not hiring you right now. They're not blowing up your phone to come lead their studio.
No.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying, though. I'm sure, from Phil all the way down to Matt Booty to Todd Howard, and, you know, as you go down the chain, they've had meetings. They've discussed this. They're like, look, we got this IP. What's the best course to get a quality Fallout the quickest? What do we need to do? Because, again, if you wait for Todd, we're in the mid-2030s before we get a Fallout. So they're not waiting that long. Clearly, Todd, you wrap up Starfield, focus on Elder Scrolls 6. Let's get other creatives in there to make the next Fallout. And even if it's not, like, I think even an interim, even if it wasn't Fallout 5, but a Fallout St. Louis or something, right? I think people would be just as excited for that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
people just want more of it. They want more of that world. They want more of that universe. And something I was going to bring up before, which I think, again, lessons learned, hopefully, how they dropped the ball with the Halo TV show, and what that Halo TV show should have done for Halo, the games, is what we're now seeing with Fallout, doing it for the Fallout games. And hopefully there's a redemption arc somewhere for Halo Studios with, you know, the stuff that they're working on moving forward.
Yeah, when it comes to Halo, it's like, I'm just not excited about the Combat Evolved remake. But unfortunately,
I am actually.
I'm not.
I
don't know.
Can I say why? Can I say why? And this is just if it happens. If it is just a straight up 1-to-1 remake retelling of the story, then no, I'm not. My excitement would come in if we use it as an opportunity to somewhat retell the story, but set up Chief and Cortana for new adventures early on in that universe, where we're kind of retelling the original trilogy of Halo, but certain things play out different ways, right? Maybe the Arbiter. Thought of that. You know what I mean? And I'm just using it as a random example. Like, the Arbiter obviously was originally coming in. He was supposed to kill Chief. What if that stays the case for the whole thing, right?
I never really thought of that. I always thought of them just like Unreal Engine 5. Here's what Halo Combat Evolved would look like if it was made today, which is a really cool concept. Doesn't excite me. But why not reboot it and say, let's retell the Genesis story of Master Chief, which isn't the beginning, but maybe just kind of, how can we make it more exciting or make it feel real fresh? I don't know. I think that 343 Halo Studios is going to use this as a learning tool for Unreal Engine 5. They're going to build what they know, build that in Unreal Engine 5, and then they can kick off Halo 7 or whatever it be called, and then it's going to be a long wait for that. But I don't know.
I'm saying this as a wish list thing. I mean, it's probably closer to what you're saying. It's just, a 1-to-1 remake of it. But
Wish
you're going to
lists
say
are good
something.
ideas,
I apologize. Yeah,
they're good ideas, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go for the 1-to-1 in Unreal Engine 5. They probably are, but I don't know. Part of me is like, well, you know, you got to be a little bit cautiously optimistic when it comes to Halo as a franchise, or Fallout when or how that'll actually happen. But if anything I've learned from Xbox over the past 2 or 3 years is they have really delivered on almost every facet when it comes to their games. Their games are phenomenally well received. They're well rated. They've been incredible. They're not the same Xbox they used to be. And you and I have been here reporting on gaming news when Xbox was sitting, riding the pine, sitting on the bench and not getting it done. And when they did make games, they weren't really capturing the market. And now they're capturing the entire world. And I'm excited about the future. There's so much more we could talk about. The show's been long, and having you on has been an absolute fantastic time. And I've learned a lot. And I hope the audience here has learned along with us. And tell everybody what projects you have in the pipeline and where you're going to be, because you seem to be way too many places for for one guy to be. But tell them where they can find you and what projects you have going.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And I know we're out of time, but I'm gonna sneak these 2 little nuggets in as we walk off. Beautiful. Everything that we just said about Halo, we're talking about reimagining or whatever. And I have to give credit to Rand for this, because he put the idea in my head.
Not Rand.
I know.
Love the guy.
If Gears E-Day is the success that we think it's going to be, I would not hold my breath for a Gears of War 6. I think that story continues from wherever they leave off to E-Day, leading you right on up to the first Gears. Just throwing that out there, because Rand made me think of this.
When you say first Gears, like, they're already remastering Gears 1 right now, and they're going to have a prequel.
But you tell more stories in that prequel universe, I guess, is like the point I'm making.
But better.
Yeah.
I love Judgment.
Yeah.
I love Judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the point I'm making. You said it better. I'm trying to go fast, so I know we're out of time.
Well, I mean, I don't want to keep you, but the show's been absolutely awesome. The chat's been so great. Yeah. Hargeet Chani, thank you so much for sending in a code for Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox in the US only, for those people who haven't dived into Final Fantasy 16. But yeah, you should check it out for all you Final Fantasy fans. But yeah, where can they find you? Where are you going to be this week? Podcast, content.
Okay, I'm going to say that, but I want to say the second thing before I forget. Hey, you're talking about Xbox in the future and just, you know, where games, all that's going to happen. Believe it or not, and this could be a bigger conversation for another day. The best thing that ever happened to Xbox Game Studios was Redfall.
Oh my gosh.
That game, no, hear me out.
I am.
That game's failures, I guarantee you, change stuff internally. For the better. It made them look at their processes, their pipelines, their workflows internally, and made it for the better. That's a bigger conversation for another day. But where can you find me? So, go ahead.
Hold on. I had some conversations as well when Redfall dropped the way it did, and it woke up the sleeping giant for sure. It's unfortunate that it took that, but you're not wrong.
When is the only time you have seen Phil Spencer in a bad mood? When? That was it. Bro, in the moment, I'm in that conversation, in that interview going, I can't believe this. What? Like, I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. But think about it. You're really telling me
cares
that didn't, you can't tell me that didn't change stuff internally for them. It had to. There's no way it was status quo after that. But again,
ever since then, their games have been, they've done really well ever since then. And you really hope that your favorite company can right their wrongs. And holy smokes, what a different. Well, let me ask you before I have you tell us where they can find you. Give us your brief description. What do you see in the near future of gaming? Because we talked about exclusivity, changing course, and like what's the light at the end of the tunnel? Like, how do you kind of see the gaming market in a quick elevator pitch moving forward.
You should ask me this one about 45 minutes ago, man.
Because you could go.
I'm trying to how can I sum this up briefly? I mean, look, the industry is changing. There's a lot of bad in this industry right now that's course correcting. We briefly touched on it. AAA gaming budgets are out of control.
Yep.
The time to make them are out of control. And we're seeing that course correction right now of getting things back to a regular cadence of being able to deliver quality games on time, trying to make these things more affordable. Obviously, we see the pricing on everything is just off the charts right now. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to still see some bad before it gets better, unfortunately.
Oh, I don't like when people say that.
I will keep it nameless. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this to keep it nameless.
I thought you were just.
But I had someone reach out to me when all the layoffs were happening.
Oh,
and they were just telling me, and this wasn't even Xbox. This is someone outside of Xbox, but they were just saying that this industry is in a very dark place right now, and it's going to be a while before we see the light. And this is someone in the know. This is someone that knows what they're talking about. This isn't random Twitter X user dude 49. This is someone that knows what they're talking about.
Oh,
and
man. I take that to heart right now, though, Parris.
Yeah. I mean, they are, but
I say that because the games are great, and we're going to see people that are making them lose their jobs because the money is so difficult.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Sean Layden talked about this in one of the interviews that he did. 15 years ago, you could make a great AAA game, and I'm just pulling on a random number. You could make a great AAA game for $50 million.
Yeah,
now
you're right.
It's 300.
In 2 years. It would take 2 years too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, think of this. You bring up the 2 years thing.
I make a game before the trend was over.
I remember Halo 2 came out in 2004, right? Halo 3 came out in 2007, and I thought that was a long time. I was like, why are they taking so long? If we got a sequel to a big AAA game in 3 years, you'd be celebrating.
In the generation, now you'd be celebrating.
We're at a point. Go back to that generation. Now that you got me on a roll. See, you shouldn't have did this. You got me on a roll. Go back to the 360 generation.
How many Gears games, Parris?
You got 4 Halo games. 4. And I'm pretty sure was it 3 Gears or 4 Gears?
We got 4 mainline Halo games because you got Halo Wars and you got something else. But you got 4 Gears games.
Halo Wars. I was counting Halo 3, ODST, Reach, and Halo 4. And then you just brought up Wars. You throw that in there as well. Mm-hmm. You got 3 BioShock games in a generation, and now we won't get one in this generation at all.
I know that was a topic we never got to today. Yeah,
we never got to. But you get my point. This is part of the problem. But like Sean Layden was saying, it's like you could take more of a risk at $50 million when a game's coming out every 2 to 3 years versus spending $300 and it takes them 6 or 7 years. And if the game doesn't hit a certain metric, guess what? You close the entire studio. Yeah. They don't even get a second shot. That's the problem with the industry right now. So that's why this person was saying there's still dark times ahead, unfortunately, as they course correct. But again, that's a way longer conversation. So I'll stop talking about it right there. But I will say where you can find me. You can find me, Gamertag Radio. I'm part of Kind of Funny as well. I've been dibble-dabbling on my own personal YouTube channel, which I want to say at the top, congratulations to you, Colt. All your hard work is paying off on your channel. You do great work. It has been amazing to see the success that you are having individually with what you've been doing. So kudos to that. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to these freaking weirdos online because they don't know what they're talking about. And you can also find me in 2 weeks at Gamescom. And that'll be a very fun time, which it was hilarious. I saw one of my weirdo haters who I had blocked for years, but still follows everything that I do.
Of course.
Screenshot in a hissy fit proclaiming that I was going to Gamescom because Sarah Bond sent me there which Xbox has nothing to do with why I'm going to Gamescom, by the way.
Parris, can we pay your way, please?
Yes. Actually, I'm going there to do some work, which I can't talk about yet, but when you see it, it'll be pretty freaking cool. That's why I'm going, smarty pants. But yeah, I'm going to Gamescom in a couple weeks. So yeah, I am doing some work stuff, excuse me, while I'm there, but I will have some free time.
Is this your first time in Germany?
No, I went 2019. It was awesome.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to go back to Cologne. It's amazing. I highly suggest anyone that gets a chance to go. But yeah, I got some appointments and stuff too, so I'll be able to check out some games and do some stuff like that as well. So yeah, it'll be a fun time.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for you. Appreciate you. It's been fun. You know, hey, we ironed out some of the issues. You had to restart Discord, and for some reason my internet just started working. But we appreciate you guys' patience. I've been there listening to shows, and things get choppy, and it can be frustrating. But I'm so glad you guys were here with all of us. And hit the like button on the way out. Follow Parris. I've got his channel in the description. It's got a different name. I didn't realize the name, but it's still Parris, and you can go hit the sub on his channel and check out his...
the history behind that is my middle name. And that was my YouTube channel I just created as a goof. I used to put my kids' videos and pictures on there, which I have private now. But that's why that name comes into play. And people are like, change it. And I'm like, I can't.
So now you have his full name if you want to get it embroidered on a shirt or something, you know, and look really cool. Yeah. But yeah, go hit the sub and check out his content. And also, thanks everybody for checking out my video today. If you want to hear more specs and information about the PS6 and Xbox, I don't know. I just hope these things are affordable. And there are dark times ahead, as Parris says, but the games are great, and we got a great community. Hit the like button, guys. We're going to get out of here. Have a great one. Parris, I'll talk to you behind the scenes on another time. It's been awesome. See you later.
Yeah, thank you.